I wonder if some teams maybe enact a more team-based orientated ban system. A lot of teams, I think, just have one guy do it and everybody shuts up. Like, we walked into rooms during practice and they weren't even phased. Like, we were just chatting to them during the ban phases.
Yeah.
So a lot of time it is just one mind doing.
in.
Yeah, because what happens is I imagine they discuss things beforehand or after and then make adjustments then. But we're going to get into it, man. Speaking of the ban phase right now, I believe, as we head to Morocco. First up, man, this is going to be an amazing map number 1 on domination.
Yeah, honestly, Krakoa, one of my favorite maps now. I love the music, right?
I said Morocco, not Krakoa.
You know, it's
oh my goodness.
Family member. You're good. Family member still his. You actually see Krakoa on Morocco, so we're going to make that transition. Transitive property, it did work. As we ban 100 Thieves, going to ban out that torch.
They missed the ban.
Oh.
OUG missed the ban. Maybe
look at the. You can see the face.
So there's this thing. What happens when you miss a ban in practice? You just type the hero you want banned afterwards. You're like, sorry guys, I missed it. This is who I meant to ban. And this happened to me. I like rang for a team one time, and I just missed the ban phase because I was in charge of it for some reason as a ringer. And I missed the ban phase, and like, we just want this banned, right? We want Loki banned or something like that. So maybe they'll talk about that later. I don't know.
That is insane.
It's never happened in an official. It's happened in an official, but nothing's been done about it. So I really want to know, especially on this land stage, what's going to happen? Like, was there a reason behind it? We'll have to learn later, man.
No way.
That's crazy.
It's not an aura play because they immediately started banning after. I had a weird feeling maybe they just wouldn't ban at all and just thought they were that confident, but looks like it was just a miss. And then 100 Thieves, like we talked about, definitely get rid of the torch. They're banning the torch right back. I don't know if they've done their homework. I'm not sure that 100 Thieves has that torch on the docket.
I mean, they can play the torch. The problem is there's not many teams that really are the most insane torch team in the game, right? And a lot, like I said, a lot of the North American teams, unfortunately, that were good at torch, besides Envy, obviously. I think Envy, we already know how good Speedery is at flyers. It's not that Terra or, on the opposite side for Sentinels have Nectar and Rymazing are bad at torch.
Okay. I thought I saw the ban switch. I was like, wait, did they miss a ban too? I'm losing my mind, but
no. Sometimes it feels like a wasted ban. That's all. And you know what? When we see today, we'll see how if the torch does go through, what's going to change. But like you said, it could be something that they could invest on something else. So not only did you ban out torch, you also don't have another ban. So really, you only have 2 bans right now against the Loki and the Cloak and Dagger, which strategists are great and all, but you're leaving the Mantis open now for 100 Thieves. Everybody's talking about how good Mantis is in triple, and you can't play it yourself on OUG side. Maybe going to have to focus on some sort of Ultron compositions, or I don't know, because we've heard so many good things about Mantis, specifically on domination as well, when you can be so constant and just so much pressure that can be provided by your team with Adam Warlock and his res on top of Mantis and the damage boosts.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we go. One thing I want to see, for my eyes looking immediately, is Harvey, obviously a very strong strategist, but now you bring Millennia in. I'm not sure if they're going to be switching up. Okay, Harvey is going to still be on the invis, very confident on the invis, and that's a small. Millennia is on the Jeff. Off the rip. That might be a speed boost out, and we'll see a change. Yes, we do. Now on to Luna, more traditional composition here. Very heals heavy on the side of 100 Thieves as Taro Cookie presses out here. Molan going to be on. Oh, this is crazy here.
On the Wolf?
Yeah, the Wolverine. If you have a strong duelist on a Wolverine, which we know Tara, a very strong duelist as well, that is a scary, scary sight. Tara is going to be able to pull out the Wolf if they want, but right now, looks like he's going to be playing the Phoenix as Terra's going to start off here, deal some damage on the front line. Holy! Almost an immediate KO, but no, does not happen as they reset back as a team. Ganbei up in the high side, trying to drop in, bang, and does get a few. Bob just trying to get some cooldowns out. Literally 20 HP with an escape there in the danger zone. Now he's going to be playing a little bit more defensively. No cooldowns out, and that gives him some space. And I lied. An immediate retake. 15% or 15-second cooldown out again on the shield. Terra going to get the damage up. Ganbei going to find Harvey, though, early. And that's a number up for OUG. Will they be able to keep the pressure on the point at about 70, 90, and that's theirs as OUG is holding on again. Terra, though, with a pick on asphalt. Delena onto Ganbei. And now the numbers back in their favor. It's all about stalling now for OUG. Can they hold on and get enough percentage to make it a one-fight game?
Yeah, but the green's out as well, and oh no, Zhao Zhuang going to fall as well, so constant pressure right now from 100 Thieves. Also using the dance floor to continue this pressure here, Shiv, as they're going to clean things up. A lot of picks by, like you said, that duelist line in Terra and Delena. You thought that they would be in a worse situation because of what happened earlier on to Harvey, but they did commit the fate of the worlds there. Committing the dance floor is big because we know how strong strategist ultimates are in this next fight.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to put them at a slight disadvantage, but them winning that 5v6 is a good sign. It's confidence. They found a pick immediately after as we start another fight here. Headlock going to put some damage out. Keep up and heavy as we go with the meteor ram up. Does it land? It does! Down goes Millennia early. Delena is going to trade right back with Svaldo. Numbers even out, but we do have a strategist down on the side of 100 Thieves, and that's an advantage. Walking from TTK, no eyes where, but does find one as Milan goes down. And that's a huge pick again. Down goes the duelist up in the sky. We go with the meteor round. The meatball doesn't land. Looking for one. Does not. Vinny going to hold on here on the Magneto, and that's it. It's still 40% holding on. And no slight alt advantage here for OUG, but nothing major.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that Meteor M from Vinny was crazy. And the fact that we have Vinny, by the way, on Magneto instead of TTK, I mean, that's an awesome role swap that we're seeing come through that we haven't seen out of 100 Thieves just in anywhere, really, back in the Ignite series. So that's cool. A little wrinkle for 100 Thieves to change things up last second as OUG comes into this next fight, only having Milan in that dance of the butterflies, as you like to call it. So we'll see what happens. No greens as well as they don't have the Loki on the opposite side.
No strategist ultimate to counter it, though, and that is a big factor as they will be hyper aggro. It's all about stacking in that ultimate now. There is no crystals either on the side of Loki to keep the team healthy from it. Ganbei going to take the height here. The Loki is banned on the side of 100 Thieves. They play that very well. And there's the initiation. Great shield. Out goes the dance. Doesn't find value. It does not. Milan got to reset. Find his way out. Terra with a ton of damage. Ready with an ultimate 2. Walking in. Just going to drop and doesn't find value. He down goes 3 as TTK takes out Terra as well.
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves not skipping a step right now, Ship. They look amazing. 94% of the board. Portal also not going to come in time, but they will have somebody touch maybe. And no, nobody even swapped to the Doctor Strange. They're just going to go to the next round, and 100 Thieves win round number 1.
100 Thieves, the hit scan warriors right now looking terrifying. You see the Ensong Inferno coming in for Phoenix. So, for those who don't know, burns all shields that are popped and all cooldowns, out there, and they immediately follow up with everybody committing. That is how you have to use Ensong. A lot of teams are trying to use Meteor M after Ensong because if they're trying to shield it in the moment, you're not expecting it. It is going to make that Meteor find so much more value. There's a lot of combination with that. Obviously, the damage boost with Luna does allow for the one shot of the squishies in the back line. So there's a ton you can do with Ensong, and it obviously resets health bar. It's a very valuable ult that I think is slept on in ladder. I mean, a lot of teams, you see teams at the highest level clearly playing Phoenix a ton, but at this level with coordination, it is invaluable.
Oh, absolutely. Terra is that guy who can flex at whenever we maybe even doubt him. Like I said, I maybe doubted him on Torch today. I mean, he can't play Torch, obviously, till later on if it goes unbanned, but not skipping a step on Phoenix, man. That guy is a freak of nature on that hero, and also 100 Thieves as a cohesive unit are looking beautiful. And it's interesting because usually, we talk, like I said, I talked to Trust Me. He thinks that triple strategist, triple with the Adam Warlock Mantis and whoever support or every strategist who can add on to it is very strong. 100 Thieves skip out on that. They don't even care.
They don't.
They're not really that good, I guess, at the triple res. They're really the only team out of North America, I think, that plays it a ton to a high level is a team like Envy and even sometimes Sentinels. But 100 Thieves have that's never been their forte.
Which is wild, and I think that goes back to doing your homework. OUG here banning the Torch and the Mantis, right? So it's I understand the composition. It seems like they're just banning the meta right now, and that's not the way to go about it at this level of play, especially when you're at this stage of the tournament. Taro Cookie trying to find an off-angle fight here, dealing some damage onto the front line, but does get immediately healed up. Remember, damage is not the stat to be looking at too much. While you have strategists as strong as these are, do not make mistakes. They just get ults quickly. And out goes the boundary, keeping the team up as we see the dance floor. Will the Meteor Ram land? And the Phoenix damage boost, the combination, like I said, with the Phoenix into the Meteor Ram. Headlock finds Millennia, and that's a huge pick, getting rid of that shield quickly. Beautiful play there by Taro Cookie and Headlock.
Yeah, that was a beautiful combination, but they're still trying to win it here. Ganbei trying to stall things out as well, or Vinny rather, coming back with the Meteor M, but can't find the elimination because of all those shields you talked about earlier.
Yeah, it was a good attempt there. Tara is going to be using that melee. Remember, the melee does attack a multitude of anyone in front and applies that passive for Phoenix. Can be very strong. Milan going to find Harvey. Headlock going to find Tara. Make that 2 as Vinny goes down as well, and OUG will get this point first.
And this is the tough part, I think, in terms of just overall stall potential from 100 Thieves on these type of maps. If you have, pop both strategist ultimates, and then after all of that, you don't have anything to combat the side of Ganbei on Captain America with the cap ult, with the Freedom Charge, it's tough because you can't really just extend that fight out. You're going to be losing it no matter what. Vinny's trying to come back through with the Meteor M, but does not have Terra to follow up with a combo, so something just kind of happened there for 100 Thieves. Now this next fight, they're going to be at a slight disadvantage in terms of tick rate, but we'll see what OUG does against the Ultimates because 100 Thieves obviously have that edge.
We've had this conversation over the past few weeks, but might as well mention it again. When you have point early in domination, it is an insane advantage. The game now becomes, how long can I stall on point to get enough percentage to make it a one-fight game? Milan going to find Vinny early, and that is a scary pick in the neutral. Another huge advantage here for OUG, who are looking like Hulk instead of Bruce Banner right now from map 1 as Taro Cookie finds Terra. Delena going to get a trade, but it doesn't matter as another falls as Harvey goes down from Taro Cookie, and OUG are stepping their game up at 50%.
Yeah, they're doing really well right now on the comeback as well as with the point control. Oh no, a late ult from TTK as well. I mean, they could try to win this here with both Stratus ultimates and a portal coming through from Vinny, but it's going to be a tough fight because OUG just needs to kind of weather the storm. We'll see if they can. They've already lost Headlock.
60%, 70 is where it becomes a dangerous game. Terra finds one, numbers in their favor, but just barely as they come through the portal. Out goes the invisible boundary, and that's a copy there from Zhao as we see a couple ults ready. Ult advantage here for OUG. Could they take this fight back? Not with Terra. Find Zhao that early, though, and that's a good start here for 100 Thieves, who needs to get this point captured. 75% now, getting even more dangerous. Eventually, the portal will not have a chance, but excuse me, the portal has been used already by Vinny. 3-minute cooldown will not come back unless this stall is wild. Delena gonna find Svald. TTK on the Molan, and that should be enough to give them the point, but at this point, it is definitely a one-fight game for OUG.
Yeah, and that's the hard part of domination that we've always talked about, Shib. I mean, everybody will mention how the first team to cap the point can just stall forever because of how strong strategists are in this game, and especially for OUG because of how many, peel options they have with Hetlaw on the Magneto, with Gonbei on the Captain America with the shields on top of the ultimate. So because of all of that peel job, it makes it a lot easier to kind of hold on to that point and get all the way up to 79%. So that took 100 Thieves so much time. We'll see if they can hold on to the objective at this point as they don't have that portal cooldown.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't like there from OUG, and we could speak to this, it's all about decision-making, which is very difficult, and at this level of play, it's everything, but they committed a lot of ultimates in that fight, being down numbers, and that's not going to allow them to just make this a one-fight game. Now ults are going to be back in 100 Thieves' favor. Sometimes it's worth just losing the point for a bit and committing a full-team ult fight on the next go, but instead they elected to use everything to try to take it back and not even give 100 Thieves the chance, and that was not the right decision at that time. Down goes one Gonbei, gonna find Terra, and that's a huge start. Up we go again with the end song. Does it find value? Gonna wait it out a little bit. Bang! Onto the back line! Down goes Harvey! Terra looking different. Headlock gonna find Millennia. Beautiful play again on the OUG, who do not need ults, but 100 Thieves have not committed 3 that they were holding on to, looking to come back and make that change here, but they are at 70%. I think this is a good decision. Look, they held on. They were down in numbers, and all 3 held on. Oh, Vinny had to make a switch there. It's a little bit difficult, but we do still have ults for Terra and Delena, which is enough to potentially win this.
Did Gonbei try to pick off Delena? They spawn camp Delena as well. I mean, that's huge. 90% of the board. Milan going to come back through. And oh no, what even happened there? Because earlier on, Gonbei swapped over the Doctor Strange, got picked off by Delena, who went far deep into the spawn. But this is going to be an overtime fight now as OUG in control of the objective.
Molan, that was a Molan diff, if I'm being honest. Delena tried to push up, got picked, tried to ult, and still got picked while wasting ult. So that is tough to see if you're looking for 100 Thieves here. Molan gonna pop that all into the back line. We will see the dance floor out to keep the team healthy from Millennia. Harvey now has a visible boundary to hold on, so strategist ults will keep them alive for now. There is some movement with the Phoenix up. It does not find value, so 100 Thieves now up in ults. Will they be able to take this great movement, great kiting, which we talked about yesterday? Again, invisible boundary up, and there are seeing the meteor gets deflected! Back Terra! Gonna find Molan! Wow! Vinny! Well done! Beautiful! Reflect there as they hold on. Svaldo finds Millennia. Headlock onto Harvey. It is not done yet. 100 Thieves needs to use these ults successfully. They're gonna hold on with Cap. The freedom charge. OT's ticking. You gotta make sure you're on the point. They're back. They're still holding on as Taro Cookie now is looking for an angle. Zhao is gonna find Delena, and that could be enough here for the win on OUG. They gotta make a play now. TTK playing around the shield, dancing, buying time, but it's not gonna be enough as OUG makes this 1-1.
1-1 indeed, but now we go over to the next round, Shib, on Krakoa, which will be Carousel. And I think the reason why 100 Thieves lost that map is because of the fact that Loki is so strong on that round. I mean, on the Grove, with the waterfalls and all the high ground we saw, Delena was spending like half the fight breaking Loki clones. When we go to the previous map, when we head to the more open round, it's a lot harder, I think, for Lokis to live. But there's actually an interesting spot that I've not seen utilized yet, Shib, when you go to the top of the map on that round, on the first one we saw, and just to kind of hide. But now that we go over to Carousel with the dragons and stuff, I don't know, where do you think the Lokis, do they have an advantage with the Loki here? Because you go to the high grounds, right? Because Loki can sometimes change if you win an entire map or not.
Yeah, I think Loki is very strong in this next map, too, because you do have those off-angle heights behind, which she'll have a view of point, and then you have the second floor on both sides of the point. The dragon obviously complicates things. I don't think it obstructs view at all for Loki. Granted, it's going to be playing closer with each clone, but you can have one up in that distance, which is a free escape at any point if you turn. Still, though, I do think maybe not as effective as the last map, which has crazy peaks, and, Loki through waterfall is unseeable. So
this, you're saying this one's a bit more still up for debate, basically, if it's going to actually dominate.
It's still playable for sure. I'm just curious. I want to see the clone placement and see if I was correct. See that second floor on left and right side there, and then directly, if you were to look behind us, folks, in the camera, you would have some height behind there. It's almost like a third story, which has an angle on point as well, but it does require you to play around a different. And they are playing up there, so I'm going to take 5 points here. Victory for me as we do press forward. Terra gonna put some damage out to start stacking those passes. Ganbei gonna look for the back line. Out we go. Terra finds Molan, and that's a good combination there with Delena, just putting a ton of damage out, dashing through and colliding as they're looking for this point early. 100 Thieves is angry, and they want this W, and that's a ton of damage, but it will not be enough. Good kiting there. Delena gonna find Zhao, and that's a good stagger, buying them more time on point at 10%.
Yeah, that's the tough part of the Phoenix ult, is you kind of have to pick your poison, right? Terra goes into the sky with the ultimate. Oh my, no, Deleno, you went too far, man. Going down into this upcoming fight, it's definitely scary. Luckily, Psylocke has the cooldowns to get back to the point, but he's going to be missing those for this upcoming fight. But as I was saying, waiting patiently to wait for his team to get in position to go for that dive, right? Terra, as soon as he lands, the team is there to follow up, making sure they're in position. Is his point now. Here comes the Dance of the Butterflies from Milan.
And Headlot's going to find Harvey. Sval going to take out Millennia. Ganbei on a TTK and Headlot on a Vinny. And I'm going to say it, I do think that early pick was detrimental. Being down a number allows them to play hyper aggro. And I do think that's part of the mental game, right? Did get picked off near spawn from an off-angle aggressive push there by Molan. And I think maybe he got in his head a little bit, right? Like that's the part of the mental game of Marvel Rivals. You want to try to do it right back and pay the price for it. So not a good look. Got to bounce back here, but OUG, 4 ults on, heavy advantage. We're going to see 3 here, I believe, for 100 Thieves in the next fight, but will it be enough?
We'll see. I mean, this is the thing with Milan. I think he and Taro have that flexibility. Also, copying the Luna Snow, going invisible shift. A lot of Loki players obviously do that, just sneak around, try to go for that copy onto the Luna Snow. If they don't have a Luna on their team, to give themselves the best ultimate basically in the game in terms of the fate of the worlds. We'll see how this upcoming fight lasts. He's waiting for the last second to pop it. Now they go.
Yeah, Luna Q is insane. Molan gonna find TTK early, and they're not using too much psych on line. 3 go out immediately as Headlot finds Millennia, and that's gonna be some value. Ganbei, Headlot, OUG wants this W, and they did not take that first map rightly. They just went right back and absolutely swept them. 100 Thieves will have ult advantage in the next fight, though. Things have to change. Momentum has shifted.
Again. And Delena again, man, just got picked off in that previous fight towards the end. So. Man, it's tough. Even though OUG used a lot of ultimates, losing Delena yet again is going to be brutal moving forward. 63% of the board. 100 Thieves still have ultimates ready to go, but that gives time for OUG to build up ultimates yet again, as they are pretty much a 3 ultimate battle versus 3 on the opposite side for 100 Thieves. At least it is a Strategist ultimate in Harvey, but it's going to be back and forth again from the cap on Ganbei.
Yeah, I think, I almost thought Cap got caught before the ult went out. Terra going to find Molan early, and that's a nice start to this fight. Meteorem ready here for Vinny. Vinny playing aggro. Off we go with the Meteorem. Thank goodness the Dragon was not there, making life a little easier. Using that ult to their advantage. What a shot there by Vinny. TTK taking out Headlot. Sval goes down there by Vinny. Vinny finds 2 on a Taro Cookie. Vinny looking really good here on the Magneto as Terra cleans up Zhao. One thing I wanted to mention there from Zhao was when they had used that transform, when they used the copy, notice how they took that full maximum length before they used the ultimate, right? Because Luna is a very strong strategist in their own right, staying and using those cooldowns prior, using the crystal and using clap before you press ultimate, because when you press that ult, you do reset that timer, so make sure you use the abilities if you can first.
Absolutely, and between OUG and 100 Thieves, North America versus China, for the chance to continue on in the upper bracket. It's not out, obviously, if they lose it now, go to the lower bracket. For right now, here comes that early dance to the butterflies from Milan, getting Millennia. Yeah, that is a good start here. Terra going to find Milan right back, though. Numbers even down. 100 Thieves with ult advantage. They're just holding on. I can't believe they're doing this. Well played here. 100 Thieves and OUG looking like the same pace of play, looking very similar, very smooth. Who's going to come out on top in this fight? Oh, my goodness! TTK! Terra popping off together. And now the teleport from Molan. You're going to wait patiently until those reses come back and you fight as a team. That is how you use this portal. Do not get too aggressive. Remember, essentially the percentage on point is like a health bar. You can trade some of that resource to ensure you have a better chance at winning these fights. Absolutely. Now they come out the high ground. They flip the point 95% they could touch last second. Taro does have the ultimate ready to go to slam down into 100 Thieves. They have nothing in this fight besides pick potential from the likes of Terra, who has done it before. And we start again, ult advantage for OUG in the final fight. They will have time to portal if somebody falls early, but will not if they fall as a team. And we do see some heavy push here, using Zhao to use that Luna, Fate of Both Worlds. There's that shield break as Headlot finds Millennia again with that combination. Molan onto Vinny, so difficult to handle. TTK goes down. Now they're just trying to stall with this invisible boundary, staying on point, but they find him.
Delena still finds value, though. Will that be enough for the portal to come back and retake this point? That would be wild. It's definitely on the cards. You got to make sure you touch here with OT so the portal comes through. Will it happen? There's the touch there by Harvey, and that KO could be detrimental. They do come in heavy. Harvey, insane play to stay healthy there in that fight. Up go the crystal. The dunk lands, but not enough. Do a fair amount of damage as out goes Cap immediately here for the side of Ganbei. Anybody's fight at this point. Sval with some good positioning. Out goes the invisible boundary now. Ult's being used across the board. TTK Terra, who gets the first pick? Mulan does. That's going to be a nice setting of pace. Will they be able to follow up? They've got to stay on point, and they are. I don't know how this is happening. Harvey goes down, and that could be the swan song for map 1 as Ganbei. Tero finds Terra. Mulan on the Millennia. We're almost rhyming here as the first game goes to OUG.
Few things towards the end there, Ship, as that first game, like you said, goes to China and OUG, and obviously they have the crowd backing them. Few things, man. They swapped over Vinny to the Rocket Raccoon last second as well when they came to the portal for the res. A lot of people like to play it like kind of like Adam Warlock res, almost like a pseudo come back with the BRB. As that character obviously gives you that opportunity to come back, and he kind of tried to make things work on that. Some people are maybe wondering why you would do that. It definitely works for stall. I think it's a smart idea to do something along those lines. But for the likes of OUG, another reason why they won is because we talked about that Loki just looked absolutely dominant on the high ground constantly. It just even if you're not finding direct value on Loki in those situations, it's the pressure provided to the team, right? Because you saw that Delena having to commit both the dashes at the high ground to try to take him out. I mean, yes, he cleared the clones, but then falling back down to the team was him. And then also after that situation, unfortunately, Psylocke, her cooldowns are just so long. You're kind of out of the fight. Delena did kind of bring things back after he went for the Emma team up to take down like Taro, like we saw in the Phoenix. But unfortunately, a lot of those cooldowns were out for the side of Delena because of the pressure from Loki, and I think that was the reason why they won that map, man. There was just so much constant healing from him, and then also just the overall utilization of him was perfect, and I think their back line from OUG cannot be underestimated for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Zhao played flawlessly on the Loki, and that's going to be changed, I think, in the next map. But one thing we have to bring up is the fact that they missed a ban, and they banned characters that 100 Thieves. They missed a ban.
I forgot.
They banned heroes that 100 Thieves don't typically play. I mean, maybe they've been playing something different in scrims. There's plenty of time to learn a new hero pool, and these players have a hero ocean. It's almost impossible to ban them out, but that is tough. That is a tough look.
It was close. It was very close, and I think the only way, I guess, that you would potentially beat a composition like that is maybe with the triple res.
Sure.
Maybe you run out the Adam Warlock because they didn't ban Mantis against you. But OUG, maybe they've done their homework. Maybe they know that even with the Torch out of the lobby, even if they did play Torch, maybe the Torch is still better than how 100 Thieves play that triple res. Because, I mean, like you said earlier, like we were talking about, 100 Thieves not really that good of a triple res team. It's just not what they play.
It's not their comfort.
It's not, because they have somebody like Terra that we've talked to when we chilled in the hot tub last night with him. We were talking about how Terra is one of those guys that plays Bucky, plays Phoenix, a lot of those characters that does so much damage down range, like Punisher, like we've seen him do insane work on that hero. Obviously, we've seen him do well on Wolverine and on the likes of Iron Fist, but this guy, I think his heroes right now in the patch are still pretty solid, but man, that was just an incredible map, number 1. Don't know if they can maybe pull out something like the triple res composition later on. Yeah,
I think you're right. It's not a comfort pick for them. It's definitely something they could play, but it's not pulling it out in that moment is wild to me. I'm not sure, man. I don't know what the correct decision is for them. You definitely got to see a change of composition.
Well, you talked about it. I mean, you got to feel bad. Literally, they missed a ban and also banned a Torch, which you don't even really play that well. And then you still lost. Excuse me, I forgot about that. It's ridiculous that the fact that OUG, I think, has that flexibility. I watched. I had the pleasure of watching one of their scrims, and in that practice, I saw Terra and Mulan constantly change heroes. It was not just Milan on Psylocke, like we saw today. Milan, fantastic on Psylocke, but it was also Taro Cookie. Taro Cookie, maybe that hit scan guy, loves to play the Phoenix like we saw, but regardless, this team has incredible flexibility, and that's why they're so good, like we talked about earlier. Shib, taking a look at the stats from the board, what are you seeing off the rip, man? Is it just an incredible performance from the overall team? I mean, can you say something about maybe, like you said, with Zhao Zhang on that Loki? Was there anything phenomenal there, or was it pretty even across the board? I mean, it was down to the wire towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, the healing is insane there from Zhao, no doubt. And my eyes look over to Lena and Terra. Those final hits are insane. Hetla with 14, Milan with 12. I mean, the duelist line on the side of 100 Thieves looking more clean, but it was difficult to see that in that game, right? Mulan obviously is 12. He was not a Vanguard, although you're seeing, Strange just because of the switch at the end. And for those who do not play Strange, trust me, it is worth having Strange in the belt because you need to have that portal ready at any given moment. So we're looking here. Hetlot with the MVP, I think well-deserved there on the Magneto with 27 KOs.
Well, you talked about how the combination between Phoenix and Magneto is just so brutal, right? I mean, do you want to talk about that again? I think we've talked about it a few times, but the ability just with, I guess we don't have to talk about it too much, but because we've already mentioned it before, just the ability with Phoenix to get rid of all of those shields and then Hetlot coming through with the Meteor M. It's that combination, and that's this game's biggest strength, I think, with Marvel Rivals, is the fact that everything is just so about coordination, right? And being able to play different compositions, being able to flex over, and I guess in OUG's case, not even caring about the ban phase. So just that ability to maybe not even really care what your opponent is doing and sort of force your own will upon them is definitely special, and that is an incredible performance from OUG. I think I'm impressed with how they did.
Yeah, I do think they utilized that combination of Hetlot with Taro Cookie using that Phoenix ult to follow up with the Meteor M.
Yeah.
Like you talked about so well. I mean, that was great stuff there. I loved seeing that. But that was wild. I mean, it was just so consistent. Ganbei played great we saw some Cap play. Taro and Mulan, I showed them a lot of love. But, I mean, final hits are very important. They just didn't look like they were getting as much. I do think there was that 1v1 there with Delena that kind of got into Delena's head, made some mistakes in that map. Maybe that changes things. If they had a point earlier, I'm not quite sure, as it did give OUG some percentage on point. But Delena played lights out outside of that, at least in the final hit front. But those picks, stats don't tell the whole story, right? No. I mean, those fights lost, although the stats are great, could have been the reason for the loss, and that's why it's so difficult to base a game, as you look back and ladder off of stats, right? You have to go back and watch the story. You have to see how things shook out, because if you lose a fight, all that matters is the point, and that's why Triple Res, even though it doesn't always have the best stats, can win a round.
Absolutely. And as somebody, unfortunately, when we take back a look at 100 Thieves on that map, it's tough to call out individual players, because I think, like we saw when everybody talks about this game, it is a very team-oriented game. It's never one player that's the problem. It's always something happens, or the overall cohesion of the team is just not there, and that's the reason why maybe sometimes somebody gets picked or whatever may happen. Sometimes you're playing a little too aggressive. Maybe you thought something different would kind of happen. Maybe Delena, when he got picked off on that third round, maybe he just kind of went far forward thinking his team would back him up. So it's very easy to kind of get ahead.
The comms, exactly.
Unfortunately, like Delena just had a tough round for sure, tough map in general, and that doesn't come as necessarily a diss. Like it's been, I guess,
his stats were lights out, so he was clearly a good player, right?
Yes.
Like it's just that's the difficult part. It's like we're saying, like those mistakes could have lost him the game. It's that simple.
And the biggest thing I think when we take back a look at the game is that if we ever say, for example, if I ever, because I do this a lot.
No, it's a good point out. I like this.
Well, no, whenever I maybe say a player is bad or performing or underperforming or something along those lines, I don't mean it in a toxic way, because considering every single player here that is competing at Ignite, competing in the qualifiers, competing in the stages outside of this, that have competed over the course of the entire game, way better than I am.
Yeah.
And we're 100%. You're in Eternity. I'm constantly top of 100 in that range. We're both high-ranked players.
Exactly.
Could never reach this level.
Yeah.
Different level, for sure. And when we talk about Delena, I think saying he's not that good on Psylocke, that's not a slight per se necessarily, in that he's just the hero pool. It's very hard to reach its full potential, like we were talking about earlier. Delena, absolutely phenomenal. Namor, one of the best in the world. How can you get to that level on every single hero? It is not possible, except for a special few, like we saw with Milan on the opposite side, who was flexing very well. Same thing with Taro. Obviously, we'll see as the match goes on. As we did the entire series. Luckily, today is a best out of 5. So because we have more maps to work with, I think we'll see a lot more in-depth banning going through as these teams sort of feel each other out. But the flexibility is going to show throughout an entire best out of 5. So Delena still has time to redeem himself, and like you said, still played well.
Yeah, he played great. Yeah.
He played great, but it's still
at certain maps, which is huge mistakes means playing bad. I see what you're saying. Like
absolutely, 100%.
The thing I want to bring up is there's also the factor of just having a bad map, right? Like or bad match, or a bad on domination specific map, right? We talk about how those mistakes, it gets in your head. We had that 1v1 diff, and then trying to do it right back and losing value. Those two mistakes being a bad play, but which kind of almost takes away from how good you've done the whole map, because
for sure.
You know how it is. It's tricky. It's a tricky conversation to have.
Oh yeah.
But I just wanted to back you up on the.
No, I will say. I mean, listen. I expect to be flamed a lot as a caster, considering as a player I hated every single caster. So it makes sense. It's normal. It's normal for players to obviously not get slighted by a certain thing or something like that. I know Guru watching the stream had a similar thing with Solaris. So totally normal. And I think on that map too, not just it wasn't the fact that it's the reason why maybe to kind of combine everything and sort of give it a cap. The fact that on that first map we talked about how good Loki was.
Yeah.
That is a big reason why Delena was having a hard time, right? He was constantly having to deal with Loki clones and stuff, and the whole team was, right? The pressure that was provided from the Loki player, from Zhao, on the opposite side was absolutely amazing. I mean, that was phenomenal Loki play, and it just worked so well on that map, and it's tough that the 100 Thieves let that through in the ban phase.
Yeah, and as we're heading into the ban phase, speaking of, do you think if it ain't broke, don't fix it here for OUG, or are we going to see maybe them remove Phoenix or, you know, maybe Psylocke now that they know the more targeted picks?
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, like maybe they target that, yeah. But because they already know. The thing is, when we talk about flexibility and having to, you know, play different heroes, if you don't have the triple res in your back pocket, man, I mean, that's such a huge hole right now.
Yeah.
We've seen every single team so far, if they have the Mantis available, if they have the Adam Warlock available, if they have Ultron available, play triple strategist. And the fact that you're not playing it feels a little bit like a mistake to me. The fact that even if you can't show it for a map, shows that you don't have a lot of confidence, I think, in that sort of composition. And I think you have to play it because it's such an important composition played in this current patch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, but we do see a change here, and they're going to ban out the Loki again, ban out that Magneto, and lock in the Mag because they want to have that combination. It looks like we're going to see the Torch ban, Luna Snow lock on the side of 100 Thieves.
So that means Vinny's not going to be on that Magneto, or rather on... yeah, when he was playing the Magneto and TTK going over to the Emma is definitely unique, like we talked about, like you said. I mean, that's just something that didn't happen before for the side of 100 Thieves. Having TTK mainly play the Magneto because he's so phenomenal at it. Now going over to the Emma Frost, having an easier time with it. Now for 100 Thieves, maybe taking out some more similar heroes, getting rid of that Luna Snow. And the fact that, like you said, now they get to ban that Mag first. We see some different bans, I'm sure, going to come out from OUG towards the very end. And I mean, it's kind of worked in their favor. Now they've hidden one of their bans on the previous map as we move over to this next map on not Hall of T'Challa, on Bird of T'Challa.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. You know, it is like almost a free nether ban, and when you're already playing so aggressively and so confidently, it's just going to only help you
so
out.
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. They're going to get rid of Emma as well. That is a heavy frontline target. Getting rid of some of the strongest. It's matched right back. Oh, no, excuse me, as we do see the Magneto. It's not matched at all as the bans do switch here.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
wild
exactly.
Frontline change up here. We might actually see the Groot. We may see, I'm curious if they're going to do Venom, Strange.
Yeah, the Cloak and Dagger Protect is quite interesting, Chib. I mean, on the opposite side, we're getting rid of the Mantis, getting rid of the Luna Snow, getting rid of the Cloak and Dagger. But the fact that 100 Thieves may be prioritizing their backline a little bit is definitely crucial for the successes they think on this upcoming map, is because Cloak and Dagger can be pretty insane on this map. I mean, it's just sort of straight hallways, front-to-back compositions, and that's how Cloak and Dagger plays the best.
As we start up again, attack side, I do believe, is going to be 100 Thieves, who elected to pick that off the rip. And this is a fun map to watch. You know, it does have some crazy angles for things like Loki in breakable positions of the map. Off-angle plays like crazy. We do know some high ground strength here for hit scan, so there's a lot on the table. So I'm curious what these compositions are going to look like as the entirety of the team. Again, they're going to allow Zhao to play that Loki. That is something that you and I don't think is probably the smartest play.
Yeah, maybe not on this map, too. I mean, there's certain maps.
It's a very good Loki map.
Yeah, exactly. This is tough for 100 Thieves, I think, in terms of the ban phase, as we've talked about with the likes of Trust Me, right?
Yeah.
Trust Me, I think he has mentioned how Loki maybe has a lot of good maps, a lot of bad maps. Maybe this one we'll see how Loki does, but like you said, it's a very long-range map, and he can definitely succeed here.
As we start off the fight, high angle left side goes Taro. We see everybody all over the place here on defense as the portal play comes out for TTK. You know what? We had a discussion about how this strategy was very much a strategy used over the first few seasons, and it kind of fell off. Bringing it back is almost like a shock factor, so I love to see the portal play off the rip, but as I say that, Ganbei gonna find Millennia early, and that's a good start as Sval takes out Harvey. Sval gonna take out Terra. Ganbei on a Vinny. Taro onto Delena, and TTK falls to Molan. What a sweep there for OUG.
Yeah, that was clean, man, and you know, we don't talk about Ganbei enough, I think. I think behind the scenes, you've heard a lot about how good he is. One of the best Captain America players in the world. At this point, Ganbei, we might as well call him Captain China. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal play, just little dives, doing it himself sometimes, animation canceling like that you talk about that I'm not even that familiar with because I don't even play that much Captain America, but Ganbei, I mean, plays that character to the peak.
Yeah, for those who maybe don't know, there is a sprint setting where you're on auto sprint every time you move forward, and if you actually melee, use that sprint by walking forward and melee, again, you can actually walk in between each melee attack. It'll reduce the amount of time that you have to use for each attack. So you try to build up that shield throw, you get shield throw, and it enables a whole nother set of plays, but not enough time to walk through all of that. I'm sure there's plenty of guides out there. You want to be a Cap player, and trust me, Cap is very good as Terra finds Molan, and their numbers are up here on attack, and that's a good start. You want to see number up, and now you play aggro, but Zhao gonna have that all in. The copy sounded like it does go out. keeping some damage out now. Delena gonna hold the high side, does have the dance of that butterfly. Taro gonna drop Terra once again as out we go with the Eye of Agamotto. Does that find value? Eyes are right back, and yes, Vinny is gonna find Sval. Millennia on a headlock as TTK gets some value there with the eye, which is not as frequently seen in this level of play.
No, and they're also stalling as well with Ganbei back on the point, waiting for the teleport to come through from headlock. So they still want to win this. Xiaolong on the backside, trying to live from Delena in the 1v1. Delena's able to take him out, but the portal will surely be available, I believe, from headlock as he comes back through and gets that Loki back in the fight. So Shiv, this one's going to be a long one.
And we begin again. The portal is there. Out goes the invisible boundary. The dance floor is matched. And they see the Phoenix land in. Doesn't seem like it gets too much as Vinny cleans up Sval, though. May have been a nice combination as we see Delena. Terra. Zhao falls. Terra again on the headlock. Well played again with this Phoenix. That melee on Phoenix we discussed last time. Incredibly impactful. And you can actually animation cancel that as well with the flight. So you'll see that rotation. It looks like they're almost doing a flip in the sky, kind of like a kick there from Cloak and Dagger. When you see that, just know that they're meleeing for days. And typically that will happen on a strategist ultimate because you can apply that passive very quickly.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty with losing Xiaolong in that last fight early on to Delena. I mean, he was a guy keeping your point alive after Ganbei's ultimate was gone. Just fall back on the point, kind of keeping everybody sustained. So 100 Thieves, fantastic work to get the job done on that first point. We'll see how they can continue in the street space. Milan on Wolverine with an ultimate. Oh my goodness.
Sval going to clean up Terra there, and that's what you want to see on the start from Milan, looking for a tackle up and high. Ganbei takes out Millennia, but at this point, you just don't want to commit too much here on the side of 100 Thieves or OUG. The fight is in your favor here for OUG, so just own that space and reset as a team. Terra on 100 Thieves close to ultimate. Harvey as well. Delena and Vinny with TTK. That is going to be a scary next fight, but matched almost right back by Zhao, Hetlot, and Taro. Soon to be Spald. Whoever gets that strat out quickly or whoever can find a strat in this fight will have the advantage. It's all about, as we see, the eternal bond early on. Do they find value through it? Sometimes you can find the Meteor M. Does not land just yet with the Phoenix. Does it get value? No. And Song Inferno does not. Delena going to use that dance of the Cutterfly, but they are stacking. It doesn't matter. Taro goes down. Vinny going to clean up Hetlot. And Delena, just a ton of damage cleaned up there with the team. Although you can stack, and it does help diversify that damage a bit. If your team is coordinated, that burst of damage in and of itself is enough to find value. And at this level of play, that is how you play Psylocke.
Absolutely. But this series, this match right now between 100 Thieves and OUG is a little bit messy, I think, on both sides. The fact that so many ultimates were committed and not able to find an elimination through cycling ultimates to combine them is definitely a tough look. But we'll see how it continues in this upcoming fight as 100 Thieves have an advantage and continue on to the streets phase towards the end of the map.
You know what? I'm loving this video on cap play. It's looking very clean. Millennia going to use that Fate of Both Worlds. And once again, folks, Millennia, a flex player, willing to play strategist for this team if need be. And it is working at this map so far. But Taro finds one off Terra from the tackle of Olan with the last stand. Again, we see, oh my God, I thought it was going to be a pick, but it does not. They will try to clean up the strategy, start doing a little dance there. And at this point, they will stagger. Forced off point there from the invisible boundary. Oh my goodness, leading right back with an eternal bond. Does it hold on? Down goes Milan now as Delena finds this fight. And I did not expect to turn this around so quickly.
Here's the decay coming to back
that's a huge setup.
Pushed away though by the Invisible Woman.
Oh my goodness, and is anti on HP there. That was a dangerous position to be in. Ganbei takes out TTK. Millennia falls too. 100 Thieves crumbling right now. I do think it was too quick of a re-engage. They didn't need to force it that fast. They used a ton of ultimates, and it bit them in the butt.
Absolutely. I mean, Sval right there saving the team. TTK over the high ground, came up on that skin. I wonder if the skin's a little bit louder than other skins too, when that Doctor Strange, you know, the new skin that came out with him and, you know, changes sort of some of the sound effects. But he's floating up top, and Sval very well aware of that, pushed them away, keeping them afloat in the streets phase of the map. 50 seconds left to go in the second phase. We'll see how 100 Thieves does. I mean, they have ultimates right now, but OUG's backline, I think they are phenomenal. This is some of the best strategist play we've ever seen.
Yeah, it was a great call on the last map. I really do think they always get slept on in ladder, you know, and everybody can attest to that, and they always take the blame, but very clean play, just no mistakes here. So patient, and they do have ults again for OUG, heavily up in ult advantage. That's a tackle from Olan again, followed up by Ganbei, and you just see that back and forth consistently. Beautiful play. I'm not sure why they're not pulling out the Wolf 2. I know it's a little more difficult here with the composition they are running.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, they're against the Invisible Woman on the opposite side. Milan is not against it. That's the reason this is kind of working. Unfortunately for 100 Thieves, they need to swap somebody over to that hero. Oh, portal coming out. Milan trying to kidnap. Can't get it, actually, so he gets it off. And they're going to come back through the point in overtime.
Yeah, I don't think they're a strategist line, and that could be the fault of just having a flex player in that role, right? It could make things more difficult, and that's that conversation we were having initially. Vinny going to find Molan early, and that's a good start here for 100 Thieves, who are really looking to get this second point. It's a very difficult point to push through. The combination again from Headlock onto Millennia. Just an absolute savage. Always finding that combo. Out we go with the eye. It does land on a few, but can they follow up? I don't see much now, as Vinny is going to pop that cap, and we will see them press forward. Fall's going to find TTK, though. Numbers up in the advantage of OUG now with a spawn advantage. It's all about getting back here. Unfortunately, having that cap out, or that strange out, needs to portal back. Already had used it, I believe, so they will have to force the walk. Delena, though, on Asphalt. Is that going to be enough to give them this point? Delena with a second, and that is huge. Delena showing up in this moment. That should give them the opportunity, but remember, the res is much closer here for the side of OUG as the fight proceeds. Crystals get popped. Delena with 4 now, just shoving this in on their own, saying, I am going to do this by myself. Make that 5, and as they do get point 2.
It's exactly what Delena needed to do, Shib. I mean, that was phenomenal play from him. Delena turning into him on this map. And with 1 minute and 17 seconds left to go right now, 100 Thieves, they have to continue this pressure, this phenomenal push from them. An OUG on their side, right? I mean, you would think because they have the Invisible Woman and stuff, they would have the peel, but in this case, Fall going down early to Delena, finding those openings earlier on, and that's exactly what you want to see as we are entering an incredibly intense last fight of the game here. 1 minute left to go in the third phase. Milan, though, with the ultimate ready to go. I mean, he's been huge every single time. Opposite side, Terra comes down with an ultimate in a moment just to live.
And we start up again. Milan ready with this last stand. Delena going to find a pick again. Delena is unstoppable right now, finding value, but you know that last stand can shift the tides of everything in this map. With that shadow is threatening. Up we go with the Wolverine. Milan still playing patiently. Does not have passive, though, and that requires him to play a totally different game. Remember, when you have Wolverine's passive, it does give you that iframe for a moment with some additional HP, giving you the chance to pop off and play aggro. But right now, you're going to have to wait for the perfect moment. Out we go with the Eternal Bond, and we are going to see Q's pop for days here for OUG, who are up with every single ultimate. Headlock going to find Millennia. Out we go with that last stand. Does it get a does not get a pick yet. We are going to see Q's pop as Taro. Cookies up in the sky. Spald now going to use the invisible boundary. Vinny going to try to keep the team healthy. TTK with the eye. Will it land? It does not. It does get a few, but Crystals get out. Incredible patience on that cooldown there from Zhao. When we cannot say it enough, who's playing lights out here on this Loki. It's anyone's fight as everyone is pressing Q, but playing incredibly patiently. And it is still up in the air as both teams have 6.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly down to the wire. Here comes the Headlock with the Avaga, or the Meteor in the sky. Needs some healing last second. Just tosses it out there. Dances the butterflies from Delena. Out again. Milena's ultimate runs out, but Milan's gone.
Yeah, TTK onto Milan. Spall going to take Delena, though, once again 5v5. What a trade fest here as they just want to get to point 3 and ensure that it's an OT game, if anything. And they are playing very smart. At this point, I believe Strange, should have that teleport back if TTK falls early. Headlock finding Terra, though, and that's not who you want to fall early in this fight. At this point, it's looking like it will go OUG up in numbers, and that should be another pick, yes, as Molan fights TTK. Ganbei on a Millennia, Zhao, and Headlock shut him down before point 3.
And it was absolutely over as soon as Delena gets picked towards the very end. I mean, he was going aggressive with the dance of the butterflies, and unfortunately, when you use both cooldowns, right, both dashes to get into the back line, you can't escape after the dance of butterflies, because obviously when you're in the ultimate, you're invulnerable, right? You just kind of dance around, but you always end up in the center, like you talk about on Psylocke, and whenever you're outside of your ultimate, you are most vulnerable because there's that split second you can't move, you can't do interactions, and OUG played it perfectly. They came back. They appealed for him. Also, Ganbei on this front line, you talked about him earlier on Captain America. We mentioned how good he has been. This man is just not going down. He's constantly stalling the cart, constantly hiding. You saw in that third phase when the smokes was up on the map, or the smokes were up on the map, and you couldn't see through those walls because of how the map works in terms of the environmentals. He was just constantly hiding in the mist, and he was never found until, Vinny would try to poke him out on the backside, but he's just stalling the whole time, and I think that's an unsung sort of play from OUG that could sort of help them in the long run of this map, as they did get quite far, but no full cap, I think, is definitely huge for OUG.
Yeah, it's absolutely doable now. That's what you want, right? When you're going through these maps, you just want a chance, and they can shut this down right now, get 2 on the board, and put them in the danger zone, make it a 1-map game, and try to 3-0 them, which would be a huge sign of an incredible team if you do it against 100 Thieves, right? A very well-known and very well-liked team by the fan base. So, well played again by the side of OUG on the defense, but 100 Thieves really stepping up on point 2, which is a very defensible part of the map.
Now, on the defensive hold, we'll see how 100 Thieves does. I mean, having Delena now over to Phoenix is definitely unique. I think that's a change-up they want for Terra to be on the Wolverine, so the flexibility now showing its face as OUG with the portal, and also the Punisher. Giving him a damage boost from Milan is interesting, too.
Yeah, I think that is a good change, and it goes to show you Delena can really flex any hits. Get Delena onto one immediately, though, the portal play. That's kind of a crazy aggro portal play. At that point, I guess you just reset and change.
Well, Terra was crazy. He jumped through the portal on the knowing the portal was going to come, knowing the kidnap was coming. He was ready to dash on through, bring him back through his own portal, and take out Dr. Strange. That was so clean.
That is crazy. I love to see it. Terra, you know, you got to have the conversation. He probably likely the best Wolverine, if not
one of the
two. You know, Wolverine's in the game. It's almost flawless when it comes to that hero. Typically see a hard target ban on Wolverine, but the recent patch making it a little more playable or defensible.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's a really good Wolverine player that's not even at this LAN is like a Demon over on Z10 in the EMEA region, not here. Unfortunately, 100 Thieves though now doing solid so far on this whole 1 minute off the clock, but OUG, you know, we've seen them rebound before.
And we start again in the second fight. Remember, it's never over, and you know, you don't lose confidence. That's the key. You got to stay confident in these fights, and we know how good OUG can be. 100 Thieves, though, definitely trying to step up here in these moments. Good ult here for the side of Harvey. Delena coming in with the Phoenix. Does it get value? It does. Great follow-up there by TTK. Vinny onto Sval, but did they commit too much? No, they did not. Only utilizing 2 great patience as TTK finds Zhao now, and will still hold on to ult advantage. 100 Thieves looked incredible in that fight. A lot of the time you see ults match back. Ooh, they did commit a few more towards the end there, and that's not great, but still should be likely up a little bit in this next fight for at least for a few moments.
Well, unfortunately, as much as we'd like to praise OUG's backline, this fight was not it for them, right? Losing both strategists, also the ultimates in that fight, that really sets them back so far unless some sort of pick happens and comes through. I mean, Taro so far on the Punisher, I don't know if it's been the play throughout the whole map. I mean, we haven't seen too much Punisher throughout the tournament so far, so the fact that we're seeing it now, I think, in this map is definitely unique, but right now, 100 Thieves and how they're playing, it's just too clean, too sneaky, because Terra is never even going to be found. A lot of these fights, he's even holding onto his passive still, not making sure to take advantage of the fact that he has extra over health and then the shields.
Yeah, you know, the only downside of Punisher is the hitbox size. A lot of ults being popped here as Meteor Ram goes up. Does it land? It does not. Headlock did not combine there as we did not see the play. They do not have that Phoenix out at this moment. Terra, Harvey, Vinny, all playing in the back together. Great retake and great call on the drop back. Ooh, wow, the tackle did not come out. It might have been a clone there, but it did look, or at least at the last second with the swap. Yeah, and here we go. Final judgment on a Terra. Millennia goes down from Ganbei. And that is a good start for this fight. And that final judgment is disgusting as 3 fall here. Taro, Cookie, Ganbei together back and forth twice. And that should be enough. We will see a portal back. And we will see a ton of Qs being popped here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, absolutely in a moment once they do get that TTK portal up. 1 tick on the board, but fantastic ultimate from Taro. Zhao also with the copy is available, ready to come back through with the invisible boundary. 3, 2, 1, here comes 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and it was quick enough. We have this eye ready for TTK, potentially trying to push through the invisible boundary with it. Delena holding on in the sky. Remember, you are invulnerable in that moment.
They didn't touch,
Shields get popped. Oh, goodness, they did fall off in that moment. Molan and Zhao going to get a few more, so really, really well played. And I'm going to be honest, I believe we just saw a copy there. We did on the Punisher for another final judgment to clean up that fight. That was insanely smart because one of the biggest counters here to Phoenix in that ultimate, in that end song, is a Punisher. Because all you have to do is look up as that bird is flying towards you, 400 HP, I believe, burn it in a millisecond, and that ult is now useless. And that was an incredibly smart play. And typically in ladder, when you see your Loki's copying duelists, you are heated. But honestly, at this moment, they are stoked.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think right now, OUG's backline we talked about earlier doing so well. Sval as well in that fight, pushing away so many people, making sure they're not getting value. And now, look at that, 2 eliminations. Nakamoto's too late now. Oh no!
What was that? Zhao does a ton of damage, and this is that Loki map that we are talking about. You gotta try to get, you know, the Loki out of the field, I think, on this map, unless you are not comfortable. So tough look there again as OUG is looking lights out. 100 Thieves. We'll have a couple ults in this next fight, but you know,
right now, I think right now, Ship, they're not respecting Sval on this Invisible Woman, right? Constantly, you see Terra going in for dives and stuff, being pushed away. Same thing with Vinny. I think this backline staying alive is huge. OUG, though, Headlock, we saw him before with the Meteor M. Ganbei can stall out with his ultimate as well. 100 Thieves, how can they get this done, right? Can Harvey hit a big Terra cape? Can Delena come back down with a huge ultimate? We'll see how they do in this upcoming fight as they have both strategist ultimates and Terra also with another ultimate, too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you need to match the invis. We had that discussion in the last map. If you're going to run Wolf, I mean, Terra can find his way around it, but a very strong backline invis is going to be very patient and hold on to that push and pull cooldown. Remember, that is a game-changing cooldown with the Wolverine in the map. Make sure you're holding on to it for as long as possible, because it's going to force the Wolverine to play very patiently. Out we go with the final judgment. You know, a ton of damage, but double ult there as we do see Vinny and Millennia pop ult in that moment. That may have been an oversight or maybe necessary to keep up from the final judgment. Not sure how I feel about it just yet. Remember, Harvey, Terra, and Delena still holding on here to keep the team healthy. Sfald and Hetlot and soon to be Molan for OUG, roughly even, but TTK with the Eye of Agamotto will be ready as Delena goes in off the rip. We do see the dance of the Cutterfly from Molan, does not find much value and is going to reset.
Well, he's there with Gamba in the backside of these 4 Stratus ultimates here. In this upcoming fight, OUG will have the edge with Sfald, but can 100 Thieves connect with the combination of TTK and Delena?
That was popped early, though. And that's now 100 Thieves is up. Eye of Agamotto could be huge. Can they collapse? TTK finding Taro Cookie, large body on Punisher, the major downside there, and is going to allow for the team to deal a ton of damage and ensure that cleanup. Numbers advantage now going to be up for 100 Thieves with spawn advantage. But they are getting flanked. Will that flank find purchase and enable an even fight? Not quite yet.
30 seconds left to go. OUG, I mean, not even close to ultimates at the current moment. 100 Thieves also still sitting on Delena and his. Here comes the portal play. We're going to see another fight yet again with 23 seconds left to go for OUG.
And here we go, the final fight, folks, for the side of 100 Thieves on defense. Remember, I talk about that second point being very defensible. Well, here is the challenge. Taro Cookie going to make that teleport, and out we go with the Phoenix Salmo. Lon tries to deal enough damage. Godbay going to fight Harvey, and that is massive for the beginning of this fight. We're going to see everybody use their Qs, but Harvey had ultimate, and that is the downside. We're going to see Vinny now trying to stall for as long as possible, trying to get Harvey back. Taro with the last stand. Could be game winning. Will it have value? But no! Millennia goes down. No strategist left. It's all about holding on with Cap, and that may not be enough as Molan now finds Delena, and that should be it for this point. Can they keep holding? I'm not sure. The last stand is out. It does get matched there, and it is not enough as OUG should be taking this point, but I've been saying that so much because it's so back and forth. TTK onto the back line, onto the strategist. Will they be able to stop it? No. Millennia finds Molan though, and it's still holding on with an eye. Right back from Taro, who's now copying. Oh, jeez, with that back and forth eye, it is anyone's game, but I do think still OUG is winning this.
Absolutely. Right now, Copy comes back out through Zhao Zhang holding onto the ultimate, able to take down Vinny, who is now on to the Wolverine of all things to come back through as Terra swapped over to that Dr. Strange. So this is a long fight indeed, but eventually 100 Thieves will lose it at the end of the day. 1 minute 30 seconds left to go in the streets phase, or in the third phase of the map, but regardless, that was so smart. There's a few things there, Ship, that happened in that last fight to sort of rein things back in.
Recap it.
I mean, what happened was the reason why they won that fight was we saw Terra come through with the ultimate, and he was waiting for Sfald to come through with the invisible boundary.
Sure.
But Sfald, knowing that, was just holding on to the invisible boundary the whole time because Wolverine players, what they like to do is see invisible boundary first, then they use tackle them out with the ultimate, and then kind of come through on those eliminations. But because Sfald was playing so patiently, coming through back with that invisible boundary as soon as Terra popped his, I mean, it's perfect by him. And Sfald, I think, has been phenomenal so far. But OUG, they need to close out. 50 seconds left to go. 100 Thieves also can close it out too.
Hetlot going to find that early pick, and that is threatening as they are getting close. But remember, still early on, this is very few fights left for the side of OUG. 100 Thieves, although they did not get the third point, got it very close. Delena onto Sfald, Vinny onto Zhao. There is 30 seconds on no portal. They're going to try to take this space and shove them into the spawn door and just force them to fall one by one. This could be the play they need to win this. Alt's going to be up here shortly for TTK, Terra, and Vinny, and that is threatening as Harvey will have that strategist line as well. Sfald soon to have, or does have Alt, Hetlot soon to have Molan, and Taro. It's all about value now. Who gets this first pick, as it will be game winning for 100 Thieves if it is on their side. To tackle right back here. Side of Molan is going to escape and does have that last stand, isn't able to get the Pharaoh leap, but they do get a huge last stand as TTK and Terra fall.
I mean, what an opening pick by Milan in the ultimate. 100 Thieves. This is what I was worried about them, right? They need to kind of clutch through in these last second situations, as sometimes they can falter in overtime like this.
Yeah, I mean, and they committed Harvey there prior to that, and that is a tough look, and that's just, the Wolverine push. Being able to push them off that strategist line is enough to win it through that. So that's essentially a 2-for-1 trade, which at this point in the game is game winning in OUG. As you can see here, only committing Molan. That is such good patience and understanding, folks. Only committing Molan in that fight when you still had 4 up, when it was, in OT is so hard to do. I cannot speak to that enough. You have to be so confident that that is going to work, because if you overcommit, you lose the game, and they held on, and I think this is their game to lose now.
Absolutely. Both Stratus ultimates. Tackle comes through onto Milan, though. That could be huge. Forcing out a Stratus ultimate at least might happen, but no. Now Zhao Zhang comes out late. Milan still falls low, but nobody's going to go down. Harvey needs to build his total bond in this fight. I like when it comes from TTK, but no follow-up because of the Stratus ultimates on the floor, on the field.
We see Delena, we see Millennia now. Vinny still has the Freedom Charge. Milan commits, Fall does. Milan finds Elena. Is this going to be it? Ganbei now with the cap charge is going to keep the team up. Terra trying to stay up. Taro is going to find Terra, and now things are dangerous again for 100 Thieves as we are only meters away from losing the second map. Will it end now? Cap dance, the cap shuffle, and now we have the eternal bond. They are still holding on. Can the team get back here? Terra is now going to be on Iron Fist, who he can play very incredibly strong with the pseudo tank potential. Tackle goes up. Vinny with a...
Oh! Are you kidding me? They didn't touch. They didn't touch. China lost the map.
I think the tackle off from the cap.
Yeah.
I think they played it only on cap, and cap got tackled off. And that is...
I can't believe it, dude. That's insane. Vinny MVP indeed, because he just distracted him. I see, dude, literally just like insane situation. I'm not sure what the actual term is for this, but this exact thing happened to me when I played pro play. The fact that Vinny was distracting everybody. They all got off the cart. Vinny caps it so quickly. It's insane. Literally, that's how I won a match as well in the game that can't be named, unfortunately. Same thing. I had a teammate called Erster who just inted towards the back line on a character that does something similar to Vinny. Distracted the entire team of a team called Shock. All got off the payload. We won the map because of it. We move forward in the upper bracket. Similar situation right here. You saw Vinny go into the back line, gets pushed away from Svald, but because everybody was looking towards him, because everybody's trying to make plays, nobody was playing objective, and they got off the cart.
Oh, man. I mean, great defense there by 100 Thieves, but you cannot play the cap shuffle only when Wolverine is on the field or when Invis is on the field, especially when it's in a sliver of OT. And that's all that was. I mean, it was technically, like you're saying, it was a misplay, but I think they had faith. He claimed that he was on point. Unfortunately, that tackle was game-winning there by, it wasn't even Terra, I believe. There was a switch off Terra, went to Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So what a switch and what a play, and that's game-winning. And wow, 1-1 on a game that I could have swore was going towards the side of China.
Absolutely. I think in the overall screen at the end, it said 100 Thieves is up 2-0, but no, it's 1-1, right, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's insane that the fact that 100 Thieves have been able to, win on that map based on just getting time off the board. And it did feel very, very hard to win that fight, but this is because of a few things, I think, in the last fight. Like Vinny, like we saw, but also the internal bond from Harvey came out last second.
Yeah.
Both Strategist Ultimates were already using the opposite side, and because this game is so built around Strategist, I mean, because Strategist Ultimates are so good, Harvey just committing that ult, and there was no Meteor M on the other side to match it, and just kind of find him on the backside, just resulted in such a crazy fight. And everybody sort of adapted, I think, to Milan, who swapped over to Wolverine, avoiding him, making sure they don't get tackled out of the Eternal Bond, because there were situations earlier in the map where we saw those Eternal Bonds, get kind of countered by how OUG played, taking people out of it. CTK being pulled in by Svald didn't happen in that last fight, and because of it, 100 Thieves win.
Holy moly. I mean, the cap shuffle, you got to show love to the cap shuffle off the rip, too. I mean, playing alone, when you're in those positions, folks, I talk about the auto sprint on cap, very important. It does give you that leap every single time with cap. You constantly are just playing leapfrog over the point, trying to hold it on for as long as possible. Got down to minuscule HP, and then you see Harvey slide on in, and that is almost just, at that point, you just shake their hand, say thank you for saving me there, and it won them the game. So
that's the most interesting thing, I think, about pro play that people are realizing. At least we're realizing for sure. When we watch these guys, I mean, nobody falters, nobody gets KO'd because of the fact that, I mean, their tanks are peeling so hard sometimes. Like, it just feels like that doesn't happen in ranked, right? In the highest level of this game, because of the coordination required, people are realizing, send the Captain America back to go shield and peel for whenever ultimates are happening. Same thing happens with Magneto. I mean, 100 Thieves, I think the reason they won that overall map was just excellent cooldown usage, understanding, who kind of comes first in what rotations, right? Earlier in the fight, I believe we saw something like Captain America comes back with the shield. Once the shield is gone and then they use a bubble, then they kind of have baited out all the cooldowns on the opposite side of OUG. Then you would see somebody like Vinny on the Magneto come back through and block all of the damage and come back out. So it's these really high-level things and incredible cooldown usage that sort of results in a lot of wins in cycling for sure.
Yeah, it's comms, it's understanding, it's patience. It's just, like we talked about, another level of play. It's that stuff that it just kind of goes out the window in ladder, despite what rank you're at. Overcommitment all the time, and these folks are not overcommitting ever, and that is how you win these games. You talked about mistakes on the strategist line, strategists being incredibly important, and you can't make mistakes, which is true, right? There is ultimates that will, burn a strategist using ult. But it's also very important for things like the frontline vanguards with those bubbles, for example, or Cap using his shield effectively and then regaining it through those cooldowns, coming back and cycling again. And that minuscule level of play is so consistent with these teams, and I'm just shook. I can't believe that just happened.
No, I can't either. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that we expect, I think, in maybe earlier matches and maybe not on LAN, right?
Yeah.
That's the craziest factor of this whole experience is the fact that we are in person in China, in Guangzhou, in this upper bracket match. At least, like, this is what I was talking to when I was watching the Citadel games, and I was watching it with the parents of Tanuki. They were stressed, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, in that Citadel match versus Envy, we were stressed in the back room. Obviously, you were stressed in the back room, dancing around because of the fact that was a map fiber. And 3 rounds as well on the last one. They were getting so up in arms about everything, and it makes so much sense, right? But the thing is, because of the fact that it's still earlier on, right?
Yeah.
It's the upper bracket in this entire tournament. $500,000 is on the line. You don't want to forget that, obviously.
Wild.
But the fact that you have a second chance, I was talking to you about this before, and maybe we can talk about it now. A lot of people were like, okay, if you lose in the upper brackets, it's fine.
Sure.
You can come back in the lower brackets and sort of make your way back through, as Vinny is our MVP for good enough reason. Playing Captain America was so good.
Yeah.
We talked about Gombe, maybe not talked about Vinny enough, but he was phenomenal. But when we talk about the advantage of winning in the upper brackets, it almost feels like it's not enough, right? Because the fact that if you lose in the upper brackets, that's a second chance, right? You get an entire another series to play, and it gives you sort of a second life. For somebody that makes it all the way from the upper bracket to that grand finals, yes, it secures you in the prize pool, but there is no mechanical advantage that you get, right? Unfortunately, the fact that if you get all the way to the grand finals through the upper bracket, it's pretty much the same thing except for getting seeding as doing it as the lower seed and going down to the lower bracket. So unfortunately, when you get to the grand finals, it's not some crazy advantage like you maybe would get in other games, but I don't know. That's always a debate people have online.
Yeah, it's more so just the harder path to get there, right? You have to go through another game. It tests your limits one more time, and anything can happen in these games. We talk about how close the skill level is, right? So that is the major advantage there as we look over at some of these big plays, and there were a lot of them in this game as we see the dance of the cutter fly out now, followed up by TTK. Remember, TTK on controller, great aim there. Saw a lot of very strong picks and just follow-up commitment off some of these ultimates. Taro discussing right back with Molan with some big plays. It was just so back and forth, man.
So back and forth, taking a look back at it indeed. I mean, we saw the combinations that we always mention. The Phoenix going with the ultimate, as well as Luna Snow on the dance floor committing that damage boost at the exact time as the Phoenix landing. So a few of these sort of things that we've noticed throughout the series of Ignite, and the fact with Phoenix releasing, there's so many things like that we've noticed. But regardless, specifically I think at this LAN, this is going to be a lot of people's first experience, I think, with the shiniest team with OUG. And I'm curious in chat what you guys think of them in general. And I'm curious what you think about them so far, Shiv, as well. We've noticed the flexibility of Mulan, of everybody else on OUG. Is there anything that stood out specifically to you, Shiv, throughout this series, maybe on that last map, something that maybe was a mistake? They even had an extra ban this time, and they lost the map.
It's so funny to bring up, Zhao, I think, for me. I think an incredible Loki player, and I love how 100 Thieves were able to take that W, even though Loki was still on the field. I think it's going to change up their mental a little bit and maybe, not require that event, because I do think this is a very Loki positive map. I think it's a great map for Loki.
Right.
The offensive plays, right, I thought that was really unique. Not afraid to copy something like a Punisher in the moment to get a win, and I do think that was the right decision for that exact moment, although maybe not in the future. But I do think it was just, very strong strategist line play for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was incredibly strong strategist play for sure. I mean, it's both of the strategist players of that team. And then also on the opposite, Harvey and them, they prioritized Cloak and Dagger in that ban phase, protecting the Cloak, and also another strategist, I believe, with Luna Snow, too. So prioritizing strategists has been a big, I believe, sort of overarching game plan of North American teams in general. Sure. Started sort of from what we heard behind the scenes of from Envy, right? They would constantly ban out strategists. They protect strategists, right? This is something that is known about that team, as well as a lot of the top teams, right? So prioritizing keeping Cloak and Dagger gave them that edge. Maybe against that Loki, it's sort of close, right? Maybe 100 Thieves don't value Loki as much. I don't think it's as big of a problem because they haven't banned it yet. We'll see if it even changes, man. They didn't on Loki's strongest maps. They haven't touched it. So, and it didn't seem to matter too much in that map, maybe.
Yeah, see, and that goes back to the conversation we were saying before, where is that because of the change in roster? Because that was not something they were afraid of in the past, and that's what got me a little confused. Millennium played great. I'm not gonna. No denying that. It's more so, I don't quite understand. Obviously, they have the brain that I do not have when it comes to this level of play, but they have pulled out Loki almost. It was a known factor for 100 Thieves over there. Harvey, one of the best Lokis in the game at one point. Electing to play a lot more invis nowadays, and we saw Cloak obviously in the last map, which has taken a more frontward seat with that Terra Cloak, giving 28% damage, if I'm not mistaken. Cloak is 28%.
To everything, too. Yeah.
And remember, folks, they're seeing a lot more damage boosting compositions nowadays because obviously it does compound, and it enables a whole new suite of how how you play the game. So, you know, Terror Cloak 28%, Luna's 40%, Rocket 40%, Mantis 12%. You got Storm that goes anywhere from 8 to 12, and then 25% damage boost on themselves. Think about how you can stack with that if you have a good coordinated team, and you can open up a whole new world of possibilities.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why we're seeing that Mantis being priority banned for a lot of people, for sure. And that's what turns like triple strategist compositions, to talk about that as well. Those triple strategist compositions to a lot more lethal compositions, right? Besides that Resurrect, as we saw 100 Thieves' brand new coach and Remix sitting behind them as well in that suit and tie. Another former teammate of mine. It's kind of weird. A lot of washed-up gamers become coaches. Shit. I don't think I have the brain. I didn't actually think Remix would become a coach, honestly. I did not expect that out of him. He didn't seem like a coach to me, but you know, it seems like 100 Thieves love him. He's been great for them, Captain Puerto Rico, as they call him. So he's made those tough decisions as well, like you said, with subbing in Millennia over SJP.
Sure. I mean, and maybe that's the best kind of coach, right? A coach you wouldn't expect. Honestly, I find a lot of the time teachers that don't want to teach are sometimes the best. But, you know, it worked for him. I'm sure he's stoked. But, again, that was a very close map. I'm sure he's not comfortable with how that was played out, right? So,
this is what we talk about. I talk about with Moxie. Sorry to cut you off, Shit.
No, you're good.
A lot of the coaches and a lot of people involved in teams, because, you know, I'm sure a lot of people want to get into it potentially, getting into coaching, getting into improving players in general, right?
Sure.
Whether that be in a different, whether that be in collegiate scenes, whether that be kids trying to learn the game, because Marvel Rivals is an accessible game to basically everybody. And because of that, there's a lot of people trying to learn and improve. So people want to help those people improve. I know there's a lot of people that build brands off on Twitch and stuff, coaching people.
Sure.
And those same people, I think a big thing is that I've heard from everybody, basically, it's a resounding statement, is that it feels so hard, the fact that you don't actually have to play the game. Yeah. Because of the fact that you're not actually in the server impacting those things, it can be so nerve-wracking watching these people play the game, and you can't even do anything except watch until you can talk to them later.
It's funny, I've heard that from the analysts as well.
Yeah.
They're almost more nervous because they have no impact on how it shakes out. So that is very funny, as we do see the ban phase start up here. OUG, get rid of that Magneto. Don't want to see it. The Torch guaranteed almost every time here from the side of 100 Thieves, locking in that Luna once again for Millennia. I do think that is something, those two on the front will not change in this series.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if we'll see a first ban even for that Luna Snow to throw off Millennia. I wouldn't hate that. I know you and me talk about individual specific bans. I don't think that's changed all that much in the Ignite mid-season, considering how the fact that if you can find a weakness on the opposite side, OUG, I don't know how much they know about Millennia, right? Maybe that surprise factor has maybe caught them off guard because of the fact that Millennia, really, I wonder how many strategists he plays at the current moment, right? If you target those strategists, you could really remove a lot of his hero pool, force him onto something else, right? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, Shit, but when I fill, I just play Luna Snow. I've not played any other stuff. Even if Cloak and Dagger is theoretically easy, haven't touched the hero much because as a duelist main, focused on that, right? And for Millennia, he was a duelist main before transferring over to being a coach and a sub for this team.
Call.
So I wonder if that would be a good idea for OUG. What you talked about earlier, going for a bit more of a generalized ban system with the Magneto, with the Loki, the Torch, as well as the Psylocke because of the Emma Frost Protect this time. Making sure they get rid of that is probably crucial. The fact they don't want to give Delena the team up, but it wasn't that big of a deal. We saw map number 1, Delena on the Psylocke, so I wonder if that's even a mistake ban on the opposite side. Ship. We have the Torch ban, we have a Mantis ban. Makes a lot of sense, I think, for a team like OUG. The targeted bans out of 100 Thieves have been nice so far.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I do think it has been more of a ban win, I would say, for OUG, but it's difficult now because, you know...
No, man, I don't think it is. I feel like OUG's draft is just not the best. They're just a really talented team that can flex. It doesn't matter too much what the band, how it goes.
Yeah, I actually agree with you fully. I don't think that has been, because I do think they're missing the department of what they're actually strong at. I don't think they do understand the changes.
It's all it is they could get maybe a little bit more value, right? Maybe not banning out the Torch, maybe banning Terra in his Phoenix, maybe not banning Delena on that Psylocke, who is now over to Hela of all things. We haven't seen this man play the Hela in forever, and Milan on the hero he's known for. Shit, dude. Oh my goodness.
Out goes the Iron Man. Yeah, they have been electing to get rid of TTK off the rip almost every time with that Magneto. I think Magneto at this meta is definitely much stronger than Strange, at least at this at this level of play, right? But yeah, Mulan, this is a great Iron Man map.
And this is after the Iron Man nerfs too, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think still very strong. I think the ult is difficult to get value with unless there is an open window for something like, you know, the Eternal Bond coming out, a ton of movement there. But it's just the verticality of this map and how quickly you can move around with Iron Man that enables him to play strong here. I think this is likely one of, if not the most Iron Man friendly maps that there are in the game, because it does allow you to have a ton of range while still playing aggro. And when you have that Ultron as well, which very similarly is incredibly strong at this map, it is a scary comp to go against, but they did not want to run the triple off the rip. Taro gonna find Delena early. Molan gonna try to chase down there with the beam. And we do see them walking them back towards the spawn door.
And see, this is the tough part against doing this triple strat. It's with specifically the Ultron, right? In the sky, not only do you have the team up with Iron Man going over to that Ultron, but you sort of create like this Iron Dome in the sky. Like it's just constantly Iron Man and Ultron pressuring you from the high ground. So if you pressure one, you're focused by the other, and we saw that for Delena. And he goes down again to Milan.
Wow, the maximum pulse getting some value after I discussed how difficult it can be at this level. We see TTK. We see the Eternal Bond. Qs are being popped here for 100 Thieves. Vinny is going to be on that Groot, a very, very strong Groot player that we have not seen as consistently played recently, but you know, with those bands of Magneto, it does enable that a little bit more. Taro Cookie holding this high side positioning out. We go, the Meteor M gets popped. As Vinny takes out Headlot in the sky. Svald gonna res Headlot immediately. Sometimes that's all you need is one. Svald finds Harvey. Terra gonna find one. Delena onto Headlot, back and forth, but Delena with two on the Star-Lord. TTK on the height here with Emma, and this is gonna be a good pick for TTK, who is very comfortable on the Emma.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, unfortunately, when you don't play the Mantis alongside OUG's composition because of the fact that it's banned. Your Adam Warlock loses a little bit of that lethality that we see, right? I mean, Adam Warlock always so strong with the damage boost, and now they're swapping off of it, right? They're going Xiaozhang going over to that Luna Snow. I think he's been on it actually already. Taro's going to go over to that Psylocke's fall, back over to the Invisible Woman in Milan. Going to go over to that Wolverine to counter Vinny, right? That's the entire point of going to this composition. Ganbei over to that the Groot as well, make sure that Vinny is not as comfortable on that hero, and also force the Len onto something else. Vinny actually counter swaps now over back to Captain America. Okay. So they both are counter swapping each other at the current moment.
Yeah, which is, you know, in ladder, maybe not worth always one tricking. I do understand it because it's not team play and you can get away with it a little more effectively, but switching is definitely, you know, when you manage it properly is definitely the most effective way to play the game if you are struggling as a team. But getting ahead of it early like this is a great sign of a coordinated, strong team. And here we go with Delena. Gonna keep holding that height, try to get that legend once more. Did not find too much value off the rip. We do have Molan with that tackle, is threatening near that off map on the left. Emma plays very strong right here too for TTK. There's a ton of threat and will allow them to play a little more aggro on the left, but Taro Cookie finds Terra on the right again, and out we go with the dance, and it's going to get a few. Make that two. Do I see three? Bang! Taro Cookie cleaning up the rest.
Yep, Terra, we talked about flexibility of this team. Milan playing Psylocke earlier. Now Terra comes back through on the Psylocke of his own. And just one dance to the butterflies gets the job done. 100 Thieves holding on to their ultimates for the upcoming fight. Going to be building up a lot of theirs too. Delena is, interestingly enough, on the Wolverine to counter Ganbei as well. And I wonder how much Delena sort of played it, similar to how Cal plays Wolverine sometimes. Usually it's Delena to be on that Phoenix and Terra on the Wolverine, but it's a matter of sort of the situation at hand. Terra's going to be on that Phoenix instead of him.
And here we go again. Great Psionic Seduction. Good bubble to hold off. That bubble can actually be used as an LOS break, so you do not have that all affect you. But TTK is going to start walking towards that point. That's going to give him the ability to off-map with the kick on Emma. And a good push there. Does it find one? Terra going to clean up Headlot there. Harvey holding on, does have that Eternal. Will it be used? No, instead, we will see a match back. Out goes Phoenix from Terra onto Svald. That's a huge pick after we see that invisible boundary fall. Vinny just owning and taking that space, being a distraction. Milan with a three is going to sweep up TTK and Delena and Vinny. Wow, what a play.
Yeah, absolutely what a play there from Milan. And, you know, coming into this fight, we'll see how 100 Thieves want to play. They do have the Captain America ultimate ready to go. Delena as well with his ultimate. See what OUG want to do on their upcoming fight. Right now, 100 Thieves walking in. 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go. You know, he can create sort of that space on the back line from Vinny, maybe force out these this early Meteor M. We'll see what they want to do right now as 100 Thieves. They can combine maybe Terra and Delena on this in this upcoming fight as OUG. Oh no, Millennia. Nice freeze.
Yeah, and that's a great right click. The freeze for the KO on Taro. Vinny gonna find Molan. That's a lot of free space. They're gonna walk this puppy down now as Vinny gonna clean up Headlot, and that could be enough for point two. 100 Thieves looking very good on this map.
Yeah, didn't even need anything right there. I mean, good pick off there. TTK does commit the Sonic Seduction. but with those ultimates, they're moving to the third phase of this map, and that's scary for OUG, considering on the previous map, they didn't get here until about a minute left on the clock. So for 100 Thieves, this is huge, considering, you know, maybe you have a little bit more time to cap out the full map. And OUG, you saw how they struggled in third phase at the very last second and faltered. So when the tensions get high, we'll see how both teams prepare for this upcoming fight.
Up we go with the last stand. Didn't look incredible with a tackle back after. Good idea. Great push off there for the side of OUG, still holding on. Zhao gonna use that dance floor, press them forward with the Fate of Both Worlds. Out goes the laser. Ton of damage out, match right back by Harvey. No ult to counter here from Olan, who's very close to that ult, but no, does not work. Terra gonna buy time in the sky, wait for the optimal moment. Did not get too much value, but this does give them space. We talk about them taking that point with ult advantage, and that is a ton of value. When you lose point, you wanna at least ensure the team committed a ton of abilities or ultimates, but no, did not happen on that last point. And here we go. Whoa, 360 does not work out as Terra finds Taro Cookie. And now numbers are back for 100 Thieves on the attack. Remember, spawn advantage heavily in the favor of OUG. Up we go with Headlot, and that Meteor Rev, does it land? It does. Millennial goes down. Delena gonna find Headlot. Molan onto Vinny now. Back and forth we go as numbers are up for OUG just due to the spawn. TTK gonna walk back and try to help with the Venom, but no, Spald gonna drop Delena. Taro Cookie onto Terra, and that's gonna be a reset.
Yeah, space created there by Headlot, who is now going over to that Emma Frost off of that Magneto just for a little bit extra damage, and to give Taro the team up for this last fight. I mean, the neutral, that should be huge. TTK as well. Psionic Seduction available. We'll see if Harvey yet again can build that eternal bond. He's been a savior for this team. Zhao, or OUG on the opposite side. Zhao can take a little bit longer. Nice walls, by the way, from Vinny early on.
TTK with that Psionic, out we go with the dance. Ganbei, Headlot, Molan, and that's a ton. TTK matches one, but you still got one more fight. Reset as a team, and do not stagger now, because that could end this map for you. 40 seconds on the clock for 100 Thieves. Ult from TTK ready shortly with Vinny, Harvey 2, Terra, and Delena gonna be there in this fight. This could be everything for them, but Molan with that maximum pulse has potential. Zhao with that Fate of Both Worlds. TTK with the Psionic to lead. Will it be enough? Up we go. It does not find anyone on the trance, and that's a tough look, but it did give a little bit of space. It's Ganbei gonna look for the back line. Bang! Here they come.
Oh!
Iron Man gets tackled out of the sky. TTK says not today, and great cancel there as Terra, Vinny, Harvey find three, and it's going to be a final meter battle for the W on this push for 100 Thieves.
Yep, and in overtime, no less. We've seen TTK do those type of things before. I mean, the grab out of the sky on the Emma Frost. This man really is one of the best Emma Frost players in the world, but like you said, Chip, last fight, Territory's fault. Gonna have that ult for the cart. We'll see if Millennia can build his ult in this upcoming fight. They do have the combination of Delena and Terra as well. Their duelist frontline damage output is here, honestly, with that damage available.
And here we go, the spin to win from the, ooh, wait, no, Spald, Ganbei, 2 down. Terra makes it a little bit more close, but still not close enough. Delena up in the sky, but it's not gonna work through this invisible boundary. Taro Cookie onto Delena and Harvey, and that's gonna call it here. I don't think Terra can clutch this up, no. Gets burned out of ultimate. TTK trying to hold on, but it won't be for too long, as they are heavily down in numbers. Will the teleport get in here in time from Vinny? The walk goes out. It is a, oh, they do manage to get it with a millimeter on the OT, but it will not be enough. Molan, right back. Return to sender, Headlot onto Harvey, and they are gonna hold before point 3. Just waiting out this dance floor now, trying to put some damage out. Can they return this? I don't believe so. OT does extend that timer. Vinny trying to get back to Lena, but it will not be for long as Taro and Spald clean up the rest.
Is this the exact same situation that we saw on the previous map? I believe it was 109 meters last time. Now we're at 106, man. So Jesus Christ. I mean, Milan there in that fight, you know, did a little bit of damage early, getting them down to, I believe, half HP. And you would think, okay, maybe we have the Fate of the Worlds, we can get those eliminations, or not, rather, we can heal up our team through all of that damage, through that last stand from Wolverine, but they just couldn't, right? I mean, the healing per second is still the highest in the game, I believe, for Luna Snow, right?
Sure.
But unfortunately, if you take that much damage earlier on, I mean, Milan and the target focus from the team is going to be too much, even through that ultimate. So great work from the side of OUG. And wait, so did 100 Thieves win map 1? Am I tripping?
Believe OUG won map 1. They definitely did. So it's just a visual bug, I believe. It's just more so showing you the point right now. They've pushed through 2 points. So 2-0 on the side of 100 Thieves, who did not get to 3, but it's going to be an absolute battle here. I think 100 Thieves if they typically don't run the 3-3 off the rip. A lot of teams use the triple Vanguard, triple strategist on this map to try to guarantee 3 fights on the beginning.
Yeah.
OUG very much keeping it traditional. Are not, did not elect to do that. It doesn't look like 100 Thieves are going to be doing that either, but I do think it's very viable in this meta to run that.
Absolutely. It is incredibly viable, Shib, as, here we are going to continue on in the series. Okay, it is 1-1 in the top right. I am crazy. I'm losing my mind over here, Shib. I mean, I'm seeing things running down the hallways of the hotel. OUG going to be running that triple strategist composition here, as they also have the thing, too, for even more peel for this backline. And
we begin again trying this Iron Man Ultron comp off the rip. Look at this movement. It's absolutely obscene. Good damage out now. Missiles ready. Does not. Oh, yeah, does use it for destruction purposes. Going to start peppering the back line. Build that ultimate very quickly. 22% already. Laser goes out. Looking for Delena, who does escape. We are going to see alt advantage in numbers right out for Taro Cookie, and that's just what Ultron does. And get ready to press Q as fast as humanly possible. We begin again. I love these player cams. I just love the production value here. Off we go with an immediate set of damage. Taro Cookie going to drop low. Headlock going to find Millennia. And that is just so much free space off the rip. I do think that triple is just not a bad idea to guarantee 3 fights. This is going to look like 2 and potentially a portal play for 3 if they're able to get them done in time.
Absolutely, and right now OUG, unfortunately, as we're talking about, I mean, they're lacking a little bit of that damage output, I think, with missing that Mantis from the previous fight. So now Sval's going to go over to the Invisible Woman. Taro going to stick on to, actually going to swap over to the Psylocke. So I think they just aren't really having that damage output they could possibly need. I mean, they've only one Vanguard as well, Ganbei over to that Wolverine, and 100 Thieves, we'll see what they do and react to that, but I don't know if we've seen too much triple duelist comps really work right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially on this map.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but we'll find out here shortly as they are continuing to play hyper aggro with the one Vanguard, OUG. I mentioned playing traditional. This is very much not that case, but Ganbei is playing a mean wolf. Headlock going to find Tara. Out we go with Harvey, but that's just not going to be worth it as Mulan finds Selena, and now they're heavily up in numbers. You better hold on to the rest of those Qs here from the side of 100 Thieves and try to get ready for a portal play if possible. Out we go now with the Dance of the Cutter does not get too much. We are going to commit even more as Millennia now is going to use that Q. And oh my goodness! I thought the shield had blocked it, but unfortunately Vinny, I think, made his way past that shield, using it as almost a backboard to guarantee a KO. Tara going to hold and wait as long as possible. Is able to land, actually not able to land, but does get that reset in HP, reset with the team, and a ton of damage out goes TTK, who tries to touch, but it's not going to matter as they push through this point and have 4 minutes and 13 on the clock.
I might have underestimated this competition at the moment. OUG definitely proving me wrong, as Ganbei on that Wolverine, yes, went down that fight, but did use that last stand to create so much space, and the pressure has been unbelievable from this side. Ganbei now swapping back over to Venom for the streets of the map, maybe just for this first point. That's like a first point strategy for them. That triple duelist composition, I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. For those who don't remember, Ganbei is that Naraka Pro, but also willing to make the switch from a Vanguard to a duelist. Typically always is the Wolverine with no other option. If Wolverine's let in, Wolverine can pseudo tank with that passive up, but also it's almost as if, if you're playing Vanguard so much and you get Wolverine for days, you need, if you can't beat them, join them. You need to get back there and do it right back to the enemy as Harvey is going to start building that alt, 71% charge right now. Alt advantage going to be dead even, but they are very close across the board for the side of 100 Thieves. We have TTK going to use that Psionic now. Mulan escaping. Tough look here, a ton of movement, giving them the opportunity to dodge the Psionic nearly every time. Tough for TTK to get around, and we did see some teams using that speed boost with the Psionic Seduction from Jeff, and actually, I think that is a slept-on strategy.
Absolutely, yeah, you're right. Just going in deep with that Emma Frost, going with the Jeff. Meanwhile, they're coming back, kind of peel away from this Turtle Bond. Milan building up build as well. We've seen him get an elimination before. Can he do it again?
Maximum Pulse does not land. Shield goes out. Out we go with a laser just to deal some raw damage. Keep the team moving forward. But you know how fast that we can get this all back on an Iron Man. That's a great invisible boundary, as it is going to help hold on here for OUG. Tara, though, through it finds Taro Cookie. And it's still, nice freeze there onto the backline's fall. Very low in HP. Delena, great accuracy, but it is not going to be enough as Tara is going to take out Hetlot. So they still are up in numbers, forcing a reset. Hetlot has ult, Ganbei as well, but Vinny and Delena will match it in the next fight.
I'm trying to remember. So in this upcoming fight, by the way, when we saw that just happen, Millennia popping the Fate of the Worlds, they have the combo onto Tara. And look, Tara's already halfway to their ultimate, so this guy's building it so quickly. And right now, 100 Thieves playing around this Phoenix at such a high level. Delena also sitting behind, sitting on that sort of flank platform with that Galactic Legend ready to go in this upcoming fight against Hetlot, who has the Meteor M to try to counter it for only a little bit.
And here we go again. Delena does have that Galactic Legend waiting, but you want to use it before the strategists do have their ultimate. Alt tracking is a very important piece. We'll get to that in a minute. Out we go with a mean Feast of the Abyss, but it does not find too much value, just generates a ton of overhealth. Up we go with Delena now using the Galactic Legend, understanding that they cannot match it quite just yet. Asphalt now has that invisible boundary. Xiao as well. Molan gonna find Terra off map, but commit as well to make sure that the numbers are even. It's a tough look, but maybe worth the fight. Taro Cookie very close to ult to try to keep this in OUG's favor, pushing up, but it is going to allow at least 2 more retakes on point from the reset because they haven't pushed this thing too far. There's only a minute 20. Great defense by 100 Thieves. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both Strategist ultimates have been used for the side of OUG. 100 Thieves now have theirs for the upcoming fight. OUG has nothing. So they just committed everything in that previous fight. However, OUG somehow, they seem to find picks a lot of times through either Terra or Milan, so I wouldn't count them out necessarily, although I think in Marvel Rivals, the neutral game is a lot harder to find picks against professional teams. 100 Thieves, though, should be good enough to kind of deal with the side of OUG, considering they have nothing in the bank. Here we go again. The point ticking forward slowly. Molan with that last stand, but it is matched heavily by Delena, Millennia, and Terra in this next fight. And here we go with that Galactic Legend. Delena trying to find one. Team playing incredibly smart. Great positioning. Harvey going to find Ganbei, though, as they are forced into that corner. And they do follow up, and that's going to be a 4-piece. And this is a very defensible position now. This could go back to 100 Thieves. They will go up 2 maps if they can hold on and push in before the portal comes through. They can try to get a touch here, but it is going to be a dangerous game, and we will not see.
Yeah, they have time. They 20 seconds left on the clock. I mean, the biggest thing there, Shib, I feel like for 100 Thieves is that the fact they got value out of Delena and his ultimate, the Galactic Legend, usually it just gets countered by something. So the fact that that Star-Lord ultimate got so much value is so bad for OUG. However, now they come through with an early Fate of the Worlds. We'll see if they can win it. It's matched by Millennia, and Delena trades out Spald. That's an upcoming support ult removed.
Yeah, and that's the problem with taking that space. Terra with a 2-piece. We see Delena on a Taro Cookie. Terra on a headlock, and that is a great sweep here as 100 Thieves take the 3rd map and push this to a 2-1 game.
My goodness, 100 Thieves going up 2-1 against the top team from China in OUG. And like we said, guys, we didn't expect 100 Thieves, I think, to kind of come out. Nobody predicted them, I think, for the entire tournament. And, you know, that's kind of where 100 Thieves does best, right, Shib? It just seems like consistently 100 Thieves are always a team that come back whenever they're doubted, right? From the overall stage, the overall narrative of 100 Thieves this tournament so far is it's been a struggle, right? Having to come back in with Millennia over SJP. We'll see how they do, obviously, moving forward. There's still 1 more map to go, but it's an impressive performance regardless so far.
Absolutely. I do think 100 Thieves are starting to step back into their game. They looked sloppy there in the first map, honestly, and almost in the second map until they started finding their footing, but things have looked a lot cleaner. Yeah. I think they're very strong in those defensible positions. They are clutching up on the more defensible sides. I think OUG, although their attack looked really good initially, I think strangely enough, going to a more traditional comp did not work for them, and then they looked really threatening when they were running that 1-3-2. So I don't know what I think about that. I just think that, you know, 100 Thieves is just being such a strong team, found their footing, and they're just looking more, they're matching.
Yeah, they're looking more cohesive for sure at the current moment, and that's sort of what the strength of 100 Thieves is, no matter how hard things may be behind the scenes. When they're doing good, man, it's a team that's hard to stop. And we'll see how they do on this upcoming map, because that was a map pick for OUG, considering what happened there. So right now on both of these sort of payload maps, it's not been easy exactly for the side of OUG to get things done. Maybe if we go back to that domination, they could find the footing that they did before, because 100 Thieves, we know them to not do that well on domination, I think, these days.
Yeah, you know, domination, it's very much anyone's game. I think that is the more difficult game mode to really find value or to claim as one that you can always win, right? We rarely see teams do that. Even Envy really struggles on domination, and they're a team that has been dominating the tournament, at least so far. Very close game today, though. That was a insane one to watch. You know, it's a very much a first fight game and then stall. If you have a composition that's great at stalling, you hold that point, you try to get it to 70-80%, and then when you win one additional fight, you have that map. So it's just, you know, it's more of a snowball-y, you take it when you start kind of game mode. So I do think they're showing up now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what map OUG wants to pick coming up. So like we said, it is not just a 3-0. It is 2-1 at the current moment. And for 100 Thieves, I think they're looking pretty damn good, right? Like I said, I think in the ban phase, it's perfect. I think getting rid of Milan on Torch, forcing him to play the Iron Man has been perfect. Getting rid of Mantis to get rid of the lethality of something like an Ultron or that Adam Warlock has been massive. So right now, I mean, this is always the strength of 100 Thieves, I feel like, is their ban process has been always very good. And that's a large part why they're winning. I think OUGs, we were talking about earlier, they're wasting a few bans right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I think initially when I had that conversation, I thought you had told me that OUG was winning the ban, and I was like, I guess I agree. And then I was like, and then you were cleaning it up. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, OUG, they're just running traditional bans. They're not studying up. It seems like at this point. I think
it's hard.
At this point, you shifted. I think you have to.
Well, the thing is like I think about how many games we watch, right? From the backside as a viewer, as a fan, as a caster, even for us.
Yeah.
You know, it's so hard to keep up with every single region, right? And especially when we go to this tournament, everybody's practicing in their hotel rooms, playing against each other for nearly 6 to 8 hours a day on top of content shoots. So there's a lot on these players' minds, I bet, in general. And that's the hard part, I think, even for the coaches to fully prepare for every single team, because there's so many VODs you have to watch, so much practice you have to do, and a lot of it requires no sleep, basically. That's the big thing. A few of these energy drinks over here, and you just kind of have to, go through all of the practice. That's what we see even a lot of the professional coaches over in the crowd a lot of times studying, seeing what the bans are so far, because that's their first even real look in the current patch, because even then, it doesn't matter what happened in the Ignite Stage 1 series in China or in North America, because things are going to be totally different on LAN. Although, I think common principles, Shib, I don't know about you, I feel like the common principles of the ban phase is you can sort of target ban. I think that's totally fair and valid to do it for really any role.
I think that's the most effective strategy. It's either you target ban a role or you target ban somebody, right? Especially with a weaker hero pool. You got to have the studying, right? But
and on that, that's what makes bans towards a character that maybe the other team doesn't play as well feel so much worse. And as we look back at the stats for OUG and 100 Thieves, I mean, Ship, I think that we saw Terra pop off on Phoenix, as he does on these type of heroes, man. I really feel like the whole team is phenomenal for sure, and maybe we talk about Terra too much, but this guy really is a star. I mean, just constantly we talk about how good he is on these Buckies, Wolverine, on Phoenix. He gets damage, he gets final hits, he does it all, right? He's kind of that guy who can not necessarily carry your team necessarily, but be the sort of the focal point, right? He's given the snowflake from Millennia. He's given all of the resources from the side of Vinny and TTK whenever they can, and that's an easy MVP for sure, considering he did so much in terms of just straight up damage on Phoenix.
60% accuracy, that much damage is crazy.
He did, was it Taro playing the Phoenix on the opposite side? That was a little bit of a diffage, I think, in terms of Taro.
Was a diffage indeed. I mean, 18 finals, I mean, that's wild, right? I think that might be the peak that we've seen, at least together, so far in this tournament. Phoenix, very threatening. I think initially on Phoenix release, there was a lot of ladder talk about, maybe Phoenix isn't as good as Hela, but I could not disagree more. There's so much to her kid, the movement ability, movements across the board. She has flight, she has an iframe, she has movement with that, and then she has a reset of HP bar and also movement with that. There's a lot going on. I mean, obviously resets you towards the center, similar to the Psylocke ultimate. But just a ton to the kit of Phoenix, and utilized at an insane level there by Tara.
Yeah, absolutely insane level there. As I shove your spit in my mouth. No. Anyway, nobody even sees that on the outside. OUG, I think on that map, had their moments, right? Like you said, on first point, it was crazy. They did so well on that Wolverine triple duelist for first point. Maybe we'll see something like that later on. It is a bit of a cheesy sort of strategy. I don't know if a lot of teams want to play it throughout an entire map. I think in a lot of these second phases of maps, we see people kind of falter and get stopped, and it feels really bad, I think, on Wolverine and stuff if you don't have a lot of cover. And I think a lot of Streets phase, a lot of second phases of maps, especially on Spider Islands, there's nowhere really to hide, as we saw when Delena had a huge ultimate later on in that second phase of the map, right? We saw OUG trying to hide from that Galactic Legend on the inside of that sort of middle area, like we see right now, is the fact that, there's nowhere to go. There's no cover you can do and hide. So right now for OUG, we'll see how they do when they play something like a different composition, because right now Milan on that Wolverine, and I think also they rely heavily on the Phoenix presence. And right now I think for Taro, he's just not able to match the opposite side for Tara.
Yeah, you're right. I think their best bet was running that Wolverine. I think that was their off-angle play. It was hyper aggro, and it scared them. It exploits the weakness of having a less practiced backline, strategist line, right? Like, if you play Hyper Aggro with 3 duelists and you just chase towards the backline 24/7, or you have something like Iron Man up in the sky with Ultron, you know, and you just keeping the pressure on it. It was like almost like having a dive comp without a dive comp. It was very strange, but it was just a lot of brawly pressure pressing forward, and they could not manage it. And then for some reason, the immediate switch. It's almost like it's a difficult conversation, because it's like, do you play it until it doesn't work, or do you switch prior? They switched prior, and everything got shut down. They got held at that almost immediately outside of that initial barrier, the initial hallway, almost immediately the entire time until a minute left on the clock, and they had 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Well, you know what I'm thinking, Shib, just to sort of like, well, the reason why they might be losing is the Loki ban. The Loki was removed in that last map, I believe, right, for them. They're not able to run it. And without that Loki, I mean, it seems like they've lost so much backline presence and assistance in general, right? Maybe they rely heavily on Xiaolong in that Loki, right, to kind of keep everybody healthy, to always go for the copy on the best strategist in the game, which is a lot of times the Luna Snow. So that little bit of wrinkle, I think, in 100 Thieves' game plan also helped them tremendously on that last map, because that was even better than the previous one. So right now, it just seems like 100 Thieves is not only just, it kind of comes all back down to that, right? It just feels like they're winning in the ban phase of the game, and we'll see if OUG adapt. We know that these Chinese teams, I think a lot of them do adapt, but sometimes it takes a series to kind of go back and learn what exactly the problem was. And I think that the difficulty is they're scared of Torch, because there's a lot of good Torch teams at LAN, and we know how good Human Torch is right now. But we know also, at least we do, the fact that 100 Thieves, I think, don't play the Torch to the level of other teams. So OUG, we'll see what they want to learn, but like we said, it takes like an entire series, right? Nova, we saw in the play-ins, similar thing. They didn't really adapt until the next series with Rad, which they still lost, but at least they made some changes, and then they looked better in the second time around. Yeah,
we haven't seen a single change yet. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's the ban phase, right? The lack of coach, lack of IGL, or lack of understanding of the team, and just keeping things traditional. That can work in various areas, but it's just not something that'll work once everybody from the tops of their regions are coming in. You know what I mean? It's a whole new level of play.
Everybody's so
good. We talk about the difference of like ladder and then pro play, but then you've got to talk about the difference of the very best pro play. They are all different games. And the funny thing is, if you play the way that you would play at the top pro play, it may not work against something, you know, the skill level is going to be a totally different factor, but it may not work against something that's happening in ladder, because it's just so obscure, right?
Absolutely.
Your mental is completely changed. The way you play the game is completely changed, and it's a whole new level, and just game in general. So, yeah, you got to make some shifts. You got to understand where you're at and what you need to do to win, and they're not.
Absolutely. And we'll see if they want to change these things on Domination, the next map we're going to. So it's the exact same setup that we have back home in the stage situation. So yeah, we go Domination, then map 2. Shib, you want to walk me through it as I stumble across in terms of the overall
Convergence Convoy. Convoy. So then back to Dom. And yeah, they are back to Dom now. I think we talk about how Dom is very much a first fight win potential. I mean, a lot of teams will come back and make power plays, especially if you get there before 70%. It's almost like you got to think of a clock within a clock, right? You have that percentage gaining, but you do not want them to get to 70%, because then at that point it's a panic mode. And although I do think Strange Portals, I want to have this discussion with you, I'm curious. I think Strange Portals are more effective in Domination because when you are doing it in Convoy or Convergence onto the point, you are so close to the point, the team can stack easier and protect and lock in. Although you can go to the other side of Portal, a lot of the time the Portal is coming within milliseconds. And you forcing to even walking around Portal is going to allow someone to either trickle in and be in the danger zone. It's going to force you to maybe not even get there in time, which we've seen a few times in this tournament. I think when you're in Dom, you have the autonomy to place anywhere, so the teams can't predict as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. And I think we saw a lot of that, maybe not in this series, but I think in the Citadel versus Envy series, Shib, because we saw a lot of those portal plays really matter. I mean, people portaling on Domination at 60% on the board instead of maybe towards the end of the series, resulting in maybe a loss there for Rad at the very end. And that was probably one of the best examples, I think, of your point, Shib, going back to that series with Citadel and Rad, the fact that the portal was such an involved situation. And now, to sort of throw it back to you, Shib, on this. This is a map now that we're going to. It's Hell's Heaven. Right? This is going to be a scary map, I think, for Milan and OUG because, I mean, we already know Wolverine, this is like his best map. Do you think 100 Thieves in the ban phase want to target the Wolverine, or is there going to be some sort of different game plan here?
I mean, if they ban the Wolverine and they're able to run it because they don't switch their bans again, I mean, the thing is, this is a great Torch map, so instinctively, a team that's consistently banning Torch, they're going to be like, no, let's do it again. This is his map. You know what I mean? So I think if they're able to get that Wolverine through and they ban it, it's almost like it should be very much in their favor.
Oh, absolutely. As we take a look back at the team of 100 Thieves, Delena on the far side just chilling. Meanwhile, no smiles here on OUG side, right? Locking in for this upcoming ban phase that will happen in just a moment. I love these sort of camera shots that we have of all of our players too, just kind of locked in. You see the difference of opinion on things. You saw Delena just hard chilling on the backside. Millennia, I wonder what it's like in his shoes, man. Like just having to come in as a sub.
Seems calm, cool, and collected right now, right?
Yeah, he's locked in. I mean, he was a coach for this team as well, assistant coach for 100 Thieves. So, I mean, this guy is ready to go. And, I mean, there's a lot probably on his mind because I think this is his first real shot as a top 2, top 3 team in the game, right? 100 Thieves, we've known them to be consistently the best, if not, or one of the best, if not the best, with Sentinels in North America. So the fact that he's had to come in and fill big shoes in SJP, I mean, there's probably a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now.
Yeah, SJP is an absolutely disgusting strategist, but we talk about those give me the ball moments coming in here, and if you get this win against a team that has yet to lose in these tournaments, at least in the finals, granted, folks, they are not out of the tournament, so they have not lost yet. It's very much still on the table for OUG to bounce back and learn from their mistakes in this map. But I think if you do that, that's almost cements you as a potential lock-in for primary, primary lock in the beginning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking about primary locks, both teams going for those first bans. Magneto banned on the side of OUG. That means 100 Thieves will not be able to play the Magneto, and the opposite side, 100 Thieves banning out the Human Torch, knowing that OUG can't play that as much. So we'll see if they can kind of make these adaptations, right? I'm looking more at OUG's draft because we know how good 100 Thieves draft is. They're banning out Mantis. They're banning out Human Torch, 2 characters super strong right now, and also 2 characters that I'm sure OUG play. But maybe, I mean, who knows? We haven't seen OUG in an official match yet in the this mid-season play Mantis compositions or Human Torch. We already know how good Milan is, so I'm assuming the Human Torch play is very high level. But for the Mantis in the triple res compositions, I'm curious how good they are at that.
Yeah, we haven't had eyes on it just yet, but maybe we will as the tournament progresses here. We do see a very consistent ban line again for OUG, and I just don't think... I mean, they have been banning out the Loki pretty consistently. It's why 100 Thieves hasn't been able to run it, but 100 Thieves is consistently keeping that Luna in, and Millennia has been running Luna. I don't know if Millennia has ever changed off Luna, so it's almost like if you had a coach behind you, you could make sure you knew that and exploit that, but it's just not happening.
Well, here's the difference. Now they're going to go over to the Luna Snow Protect towards the end. Emma Frost Protect always sort of baits, I think, OUG in banning out Psylocke. Because Delena, I mean, they can play that Psylocke for sure, but there's the Psylocke ban on the opposite side, knowing Emma Frost goes through to get rid of that matchup. So Delena, a lot of pressure on her shoulders in this upcoming map. I think that's a fine play by OUG. Like we said, yeah, the Human Torch maybe not as big of a deal, considering, I don't think 100 Thieves like Human Torch like that much. And the Captain America, that's smart. I think Vinny's been doing so well. Nice little wave there from Delena. Good to see all smiles from him. He's a funny guy. Make sure to check out his streams if you have not. But now there's, like we said, a lot of pressure on that guy. He's all smiles right now, but he's going to have to pop off on Psylocke with the Emma Frost team up.
And lock right in they will, folks, as we progress forward to the start of potentially the final map here. If 100 Thieves can push through and get the job done. Remember, folks, these stages, at least for right now, are best of 5. So first to 3.
First to 3 coming up.
As we get into the map here right now, we will see the compositions run. I do think 100 Thieves once again won the banning phase. Millennia going to be on that Jet, but that's just for a speed boost. And that will be switched right back to that Luna. Vinny is going to be playing, I like the Venom pick instead of the Cap. TTK clearly going to be running that Emma, which has found a ton of success throughout this tournament.
Yeah, a lot of success indeed. I think Gonbei has been that man to play the Captain America. And you can see, I mean, the prioritization of Captain America has been a little bit more of an Asia region sort of thing. And right now, oh my goodness, the pull, and then also Asphalt coming through with the Terra Cape. Take down Delena early on.
And Taro going to put some damage out, supply those passives, and it's not going to be enough to drive them off to the off angle. They're still holding on firm here. A little bit of juking, the ASD movement, if you will, and we've got Taro Cookie going to keep the pressure on as we see, TTK on Milan. Down goes one, numbers up on the side of 100 Thieves. Terra now putting that pressure back on with the passive stacks. All you got to do is keep those stacks up, force your team to walk back as Vinny gets headlocked. Zhao is going to find Delena, but numbers are still in 100 Thieves' favor. And Terra going to keep the pressure on, going to walk in. We see some heavy aggro play by Vinny, who's just trying to take the space. Terra going to clean up Spald now with a triple KO. And that is how you dominate space.
Absolutely indeed. Now 100 Thieves built up those ultimates for the upcoming fight. Take point first, and that's huge considering OUG on domination looked pretty damn good earlier, man. So we'll see how things continue for OUG as they have to kind of come back through, find these opening picks, get that pressure. But Terra on Phoenix has been a nightmare for the side of OUG to deal with. I need to see more out of Terra Cookie, I think, at the moment, because right now Terra has been putting on an absolute masterclass performance.
And we start again. Vinny going to start applying that pressure, does have the feast. Out we go with the fade. It gets matched right back. So we will have colors everywhere. But remember, if this map does shift, it does lift it. Terra fighting headlock, and Terra through that is insane. That two-piece is going to be invaluable with 45 on the clock. Trying to get to that threshold that makes it dangerous for OUG. Delena going to drop Molan, and now OUG is forced to reset. Can they chase for even more staggers? We will find out shortly. They do not.
No, they don't indeed. They're looking so good right now, man.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the 100 Thieves of old that we know showing up on LAN for a $500,000 tournament to cement themselves as the best team in the world in Marvel Rivals. And also, the bigger deal is there's so much pressure on OUG. The last Chinese team left in the tournament as Nova in that in the play-ins already are out, man. So for OUG, they have all the ultimates to work with, but so does the 100 Thieves.
Vinny up on height, ready to make the feast play happen. They will have that damage boost with Millennia. Remember, that does make the threat of a one-shot far more available as Terra Cookie gets driven back. Down go all the cooldowns, but doesn't matter as Delena falls. Vinny goes down. The ult was canceled, not popped, as he's back at 50%. Here we go. Phoenix going to land on Millennia, and that's a sweep at this point. But 97% for 100 Thieves. It is one-fight territory.
Yeah, it's almost like a free fight win, it feels like, the Meteor M combination with the Phoenix. And that's what we talked about with a lot of the pro players, that fact that there's a lot of one-shot combinations, right? You use that Phoenix ultimate like we talked about with the Meteor M. There's more stuff like that in the game, obviously, as we see it with the Luna Snow Dance Floor. So with that combination, it's kind of the free win. Now for OUG, how can they win this upcoming fight when they have the point control? It's 98% of the board. They don't have that one-shot combo right now. 100 Thieves obviously have a different combination, different win conditions with that Vinny on that Feast of the Abyss, like you said. Also a Psionic Seduction point to go out, but Terra has to connect with this ultimate, and he's been so good on Phoenix so far, like we said.
Yeah, the tricky part now is turning your brain to make a different play. You don't want to pop the shield when you see Phoenix coming down. You want to wait till after, which is so confusing and messes with you, right? Obviously, the timing can be tricky. If the Meteor lands at the same time, you really need to ensure that you don't do it. Millennia going to find Hetlot here, and that's going to put them up in numbers. Remember, 98%, 46 here for OUG. It's not threatening at all yet, as we see Delena keep pressing forward. Ton of damage out, does have that dance, but trying to hold on to it, doesn't need to. Instead, going to pop in, and one goes down.
Millennia
going to clean up again. Bang,
Millennia again!
Three! Millennia build a little bit different. Delena going to find one, and Terra cleans that up, and that is going to be map one. Wow, 100 Thieves looked clinical.
Dude, we talked about big shoes to fill. This man came in like a giant, stepped on SJP's shoes. I mean, what an insane performance from Millennia in that first round, because finding those picks is not an easy task for a sub coming through. And man, 100 Thieves going up a round again. If they win it here, man, that puts them forward into that bracket, I believe into that semifinals in this top, with that put them in the top 4, I believe. So that's huge.
Yeah, we see Millennia on other teams as a duelist, hit scan duelist. So it does translate very well, like you said, into Luna. A ton of KO potential there with Luna, just raw damage. Obviously, the clapping, incredibly impactful in terms of healing per second.
Yeah.
Ultimate's incredibly strong. It's all about communication. And as a duelist, you know how to synergize with that well. You understand the position of how you got to combo, right? You know what you want, so you're able to do it yourself when you're on the strat line. The question that I have is the hero pool deep enough? I do believe he's playing incredibly well on Luna, but is it deep enough?
Yeah, we'll see later on if anybody wants to target maybe Millennia. I hate to call out stuff like that, considering maybe teams listening or something like that could make adaptations like that. I know it's something like somebody team like 100 Thieves are excited for that, as you hear OUG's fans trying to pump them back up in the crowd. They're going, you know, Jai-O, as they call it over here in Mandarin, as that sort of a chant like, let's go, you know, get the team's hype built up. And for OUG, they need it right now. They need some form of energy to come back, because that was a pretty brutal round one.
Agreed, and here we go. Damage reduction out from Olan, trying to make a play with the last stand. Delena says, nope, that's not going to happen, as Delena is going to be on the Wolf. Up we go with the tackle. Does not get too much purchase. Terra going to take out Olan, though, and they are going to be forced to retake and drop back, giving the point out early as Terra takes out Taro Cookie, and they are resetting now with OUG holding on to Ganbei's ultimate, soon to have Sfald and Hetlot, but on 100 Thieves, we have TTK ready, Terra very close, and Harvey. That again, 100 Thieves getting this point early, putting them in a great position.
You know what team OUG reminds me of? It feels like a lot like Shroud X in the old days, right? Put sort of Terra over to the Star-Lord, sort of figuring things out. Right now, I do like putting Terra over to that Bucky, where they put Milan on the Star-Lord, putting him on the Punisher instead, playing full counter to the Thing. But when you focus so much on Vinny, I'm curious what the rest of 100 Thieves does.
Okay, here we go. Milan going to be making the switch to Punisher. At this point, I am afraid it is getting more of a panic switch situation. You need to lock in Sfald. Going to be using that Eternal Bond. Ganbei out. Out goes Hetlot as well. They need to find value now as they're popping everything they've got. A ton are trance. Will they be able to clean it up? Ooh, great drop right there onto Terra. Not able to get too much with that ultimate. Ooh, clobbering time! What a combination! Clobbering into the raw passive stack damage as Terra gets a few, walking them back up in 2 numbers, and this is going to be Stagger. That is not good, as Staggerfest forcing them back with even more time, 10 seconds on, as Ganbei is going to have to reset.
And look, Delena's hiding around the corner, feeling confident, does have that last stand, like you said. If I was OUG, this would feel so brutal. I mean, Ganbei's over to the Thing, Terra's now over to that Punisher. This team is lost at the current moment, trying to figure something out. It feels kind of hopeless for OUG. But if any team can do it, it's a team that was dominant for so long in China. OUG, pretty much last fight territory to keep the upper bracket hopes alive.
100 Thieves wants this win to prove that they still got what it takes and prove us wrong on our predictions. They know they can do it, as they are taking on a team that is storied. OUG is on their heels. 100 Thieves want this win as we begin another fight, which could be the final fight of this series. Out goes the tackle. Delena does have last stand. Out we go with the Psionic. Doesn't get too much value. Punisher is out, and down goes Terra. That is a good ult there by Taro Cookie, who now finds the space, looking at TTK. Last stand is up. Does it find purchase? It does at least burn the cooldown of the passive for Milan, who is healed back up and should soon have last stand as Vinny finds Hetlot, though, and that's going to drive them backwards.
No more ults.
Millennial with the ultimate. Out goes Fate of both worlds. Milan does have last stand. If you can pull it away from the Fate, that could hold on for the team. You got to get on the point, as they do with a millisecond on. Oh,
but
my
Harvey was
goodness.
waiting.
Harvey finds Milan. Well done by Harvey with the patience to ensure it does end the game, as 100 Thieves take out OUG and send them to the lower side bracket.
If you told me Millennia was a sub or a coach, whatever you may say, that was an MVP for me that last map, right?
Yeah.
Finding those picks. Then in that last map we talked to, I know when we listened to 100 Thieves in their scripts, I know I was watching them play versus Envy. There's a constant thing said by Marshall, a.k.a. Terra. It's, why are we using Luna's so early? These guys and their Stratus ultimates, their timing has to be perfect, right? And that's what it is in this game. That's what we talk about Marvel Rivals being a very macro-centric game. If you use your Luna Snow ultimate even a second early, sure, you're like, it doesn't matter in the moment, but man, Stratus ultimates are so important, and Millennia to come in and sort of understand that as a coach is giving him those opportunities to be like, okay, I'm going to wait to the very last second dance floor, because as soon as my team can disengage and live, that gives my team opportunity to maybe counter something like Milan, because we saw they use the dance floor, long fight, overextended, right? That was kind of how what happens in those sort of fights. After that, Milan sets up his last stand. Guess who has ultimate to match it? Like we saw in that game number 2, it's Harvey on the opposite side, knowing where Milan is, to counter with the Eternal Bond.
Yeah, honestly, the countering of Eternal Bond onto a tackled last stand is far more difficult than it sounds, because you have to predict where the tackle is going to go, and it's a distance. It can be a far distance. So. What a play by Harvey as well. The strat line looking great. I do agree with you. You got to say Millennia.
Well, you talked about these players being so next level, especially a lot of top players and top teams. 100 Thieves, sure, we've heard they've been faltering in scrims and stuff, but right now on stage, they're showing experience, right?
It's all that matters.
It's all that matters. Yeah. And, you know, they're thinking also just so into the future, right? These guys understand, okay, you know, in a ranked game or something, you'd be like, okay, I see my team is dropping low. I need to ult. Sometimes you don't, because of how strong the kits of heroes are. Yeah. Luna Snow clapping, you know, with that shift, also keeping everybody alive with just left clicks, doesn't even need to use their ultimate that early. So they're always trying to sort of wait as long as possible, because when they have Vinny on the thing, they have the Emma Frost for the diamond form. So because you have so much things like damage resist, very tanky front line, you can just sort of wait as long as possible and keep your tanks sort of healthy, because you know that's sort of all the damage and where it's going. Because on the opposite side for OUG, man, they were playing very front to back, right? With their comp. They're playing Punisher, they're playing Wolverine. And if you play front to back versus 100 Thieves, you're going to lose, because that's how we know them as a good front to back team, a team that is well aware of tanking damage with their vanguards and staying alive.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. I could not agree more. They almost played into – it's so strange, because the one time that they changed their composition into something more obscure, it was dominant. And then they just – from then on, which, you know, it's very difficult to say to not run 2-2-2, because I do think by far 2-2-2 is the most traditional, most consistent composition to win. But once they changed things up, it got in 100 Thieves' head, and they decided to go right back into it and kept it that way for the rest of the maps. And the bans never changed. We saw the mistakes need to be we need to see a change in OUG in this next map. If they consistently rock with these same bans in the next match, I do not believe that they will take this tournament home. You cannot play like that. It cannot be the same bands consistently.
But if we know anything from these Chinese teams, like we said, and it's sort of a generalization, of course, because Nova is a completely different team, these guys adapt, right? They learn, especially in the last second, right? They're very quick to improve and get better. Early in the days, right? If you remember, shit, back when we were just either on the release of the game or even in the closed beta, people were like, okay, we'd scrimmed against, you know, Chinese teams, and you'd be like, oh, this is kind of a joke, right? They're not doing that well. Okay. What happens down the line, we hear 6 months later, you have teams like OUG scrimming against teams like Virtus Pro, teams like Sentinels, 100 Thieves, who just win in their own region, and they're doing a lot better. Right? So because of that, I feel like the fact of they just improve so quick, because the fact that you can kind of become a competitive region in less than a year is going to be very difficult, right? Especially depending on player base of the game and stuff like that. There's so many different outlying factors. For OUG, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them again come back stronger.
Yeah, I think that Marvel Rivals is a game about adapting and learning. I think that the constant patch changes. I think even things like recently we've been seeing the damage boost compositions coming out. We've been seeing the combination with Phoenix far more consistently now. And we had, I mentioned that a little bit in the game. It's like you almost have to shift your brain into how you normally play the game if you want to counter that, and that is very difficult to do. You see object coming towards you, you shield, you protect. But if you shield and protect, you fall, you get KO'd immediately after. You need to let it hit you and then try to stay up with shields and protection with the last millisecond of HP, or when you're at like 5% HP from the ultimate. It's just so tricky. So constant new stuff happening. You need to be able to adapt. I do think these teams can do it. It's just a matter of, will we see it?
Yep, absolutely. Will we see it? Indeed, we'll have to wait and see. And going back and looking back at the stats of this squad, I mean, 100 Thieves, we'll just see. Let's just, before I even look at this, how good did Terra do? Actually, it looks like gapped again, unfortunately. Well, Terra actually did pretty solid. But unfortunately, I think we said front to back kind of compositionally, OUG just loses in that department. And I think the biggest thing for 100 Thieves, I think this is such a big win, right? Considering how they've played throughout the history of this game. Sentinels already sent down to that losers brackets. So one of their big sort of thorns in their side of the overarching North American side is gone, right? At the current moment, down in that lower brackets where 100 Thieves set themselves up. Rivalry is still, sort of on the opposite side. So we'll see if we see that matchup again. But 100 Thieves right now, I mean, they look as good as they've ever looked.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I love to see it. You want to see a team show up. It's tough for OUG. I love the energy in the crowd. When it's insane when you're here, right? Yeah. You get to experience just the raw energy in the room. But I think 100 Thieves looked. For some reason, it's all about being on the stage.
And we all doubted the 100 Thieves. I feel like,
so
and
too,
that can't be understated. Like I feel like because we have a lot of Millennia MVP.
Wow,
there we go.
I love it. I love it.
Listen, oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, well deserved. This guy, SJP is a phenomenal player too, but Millennia stepped in and done such a great job, right? That's the biggest thing, is that it's a lot of stress on his shoulders, and he's really lived up to expectations. So right now, we'll see how 100 Thieves does in the overarching scheme of things. But right now, Envy, 100 Thieves, two teams that are moving forward in this upper bracket, two North American rosters, both Chinese rosters, or one Chinese roster on the brink of losing. We're going to see upcoming another match. The last match of the day is going to be Reject versus Ground Zero. So we get Korea versus the Australian side, the Oceania Oceania region, and that's going to be a lot of fun because that's also another side of, does the Oceania region drop down to loser brackets, or is the last hope of Korea going to falter, man? So really, really exciting. For right now, North America is looking pretty damn good.
They are at this moment, and I am very excited for that next series. It is going to be a battle of the regions that maybe are a little smaller in terms of just teams in general.
Yeah.
Looking at some of these plays are insane. By the way, in the background, Tara, that combination with clobbering time, another one of those more unique combinations that makes a ton of sense to me. It's all about hitting a mean clobbering time on a map like this where they're forced in a tight angle, and all you do is just sit and wait for that moment. It pans out in spades as they do clean that up.
Yeah, and you were talking about smaller regions, kind of just like us, you know, smaller regions doesn't always determine your max potential, such as height in real life. But me and Shit both 7-foot freaks of nature.
Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely huge people here on the stage. Massive units, just like Leg Day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
when Cozy gets here, you'll see we're much taller than him.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be way taller. We'll be off the screen. You know,
of course.
As per usual, you know, with us freaks of nature that are this tall, we grow off screen. I mean, that's just what happens. But
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic. Start stretching. Yeah. I'll stretch you out, man. Just get going. You know, like those old machines. Yeah, pull you on this side, bro. I just get you going. Break your back for the finals. You're just gonna be broken, falling in the wheelchair. Professor X up here, brother. That might happen potentially. But regardless, man, North America's looking good. And you know me, I'm not very biased. I think that a lot of the
you said you want us to lose.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's
listen.
a joke. It's a joke.
Well, no, I was going to predict OUG actually earlier on before the tournament. I was changing things last second.
As we do.
Predictions.
I did too.
For sure. But, I think everybody does have, that sort of nationality bias, right? Everybody wants their team to win, especially if they're from your country, right? We look over, I imagine there's a lot of 100 Thieves fans in North America, a lot of Nadeshot fans, and I know Nadeshot's probably talking, a lot of smack to Rob, potentially, for Sentinels, because they drop down below, and we love both of those guys as well. But, regardless, everybody behind the scenes, I think, regardless where you come from, you're going to want to root for your team sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right? So a lot of, the talent from EMEA are like, guys, EMEA is so good, and I agree 100%. A lot of the North American guys want the North American teams to win. Obviously, Oceania, we got those guys that want them to win, as well as the Asia region. So everybody's sort of focusing on their nationalities and their regions. But honestly, we just want to see the best teams compete.
Yeah, I just want to see close games and them duking it out. I think that we've seen some of that over this tournament already, and it's been a ton of fun to watch. And I can't say it again, or I am going to say it again. All these teams are so close, so it's really any given day. But OUG, 100 Thieves, OUG looked so good in map 1 too.
They did,
which is the strange thing. I think
they fell apart, man. Later on, I mean. What do you think is the reason? Was it the ban phase?
Yeah, it was the ban phase. They just learned. They said, okay, well, we identified the problems, we changed. And OUG said, we identified the problems, we are not going to change anything. I think, maybe they had looked at, this is the conversation I was thinking in my head, is because they weren't able to play Loki a lot simply because of the fact that it was banned all the time for the side of 100 Thieves. But I don't think they ever intended on playing Loki simply because Millennia, it just seemed like it was always locked into that Luna. But we may see a change there, and Millennium may have more heroes up the sleeve.
He might.
We never saw that change. We do not know, which is Shrouded in Mystery is a strategy, right? We've seen that be successful in tournaments in the past. If you don't know information or you have compositions that you have been harnessing and practicing that you are not known for in past tournaments, that is enough of a buff.
It's freaky,
to take
man.
a W. Yeah.
It's so scary. Yeah. It really is. Like the Dark Horse, that's what we're talking about with OUG being such an anomaly, right? This team could just come in and do anything. But you know what? I feel like my biggest takeaway, because one time, like a couple weeks ago, I just sat down. You saw we were watching our games right in the Ignite stage, stage 1. I was co-streaming every single of the EMEA matches. I was watching sometime of the Asia and the China matches, and that was the one time I just really burned out that week because I was watching too much Marvel Rivals, which is apparently possible.
I love it.
It's possible sometimes to just watch a little too much, maybe get a little burned out. But that was so much of this game. I feel like people will be like, okay, certain regions have certain play styles.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I just feel like the game, there's a way to play the game, right?
Yeah.
There is the right way to play the game. Everybody's trying to figure it out. So there's nothing specific. Whenever somebody asks me, they're like, who is the best region and why is this region good at certain things or whatever? Or, this region is doing something so unique, so special, so exciting. And I think that there is a factor of that. But the biggest thing, I think every region sort of is trying to compete through the same goal. And because of that, I feel like there's a lot of similarities playstyle-wise. There's not that much of a difference between North America, EMEA, Oceania, or Asia entirety. Everybody is still playing Marvel Rivals at the end of the day. And because of that, they're playing the same game. I feel like everybody sort of comes up with the same solution. Sure, there might be different sort of paths to that solution, but you still have to find the best composition per patch. And because of what you talked about on day 1, mean, this game has patches every single month. We're constantly updating the game of Marvel Rivals. There's so much you have to learn in such a quick amount of time, especially for these pro players.
I think that's really well put. I think the only thing that's not even necessarily a rebuttal, it's just teams have various strengths, right? And every team is trying to perfect that strength, whether it's dive or a composition that they're more fluid with, a Venom composition, a Cap composition, or more pokey, brawly composition. Every team is working to perfect that, and it's not really about region. It's more so, what can we do to ensure that strength of ours is as optimal as possible? But we are going to be heading over to an interview with Terra. I cannot wait to see what he says about that turnaround after.
Map loss, but